That was, I guess, that was for Twitch. We're going live on YouTube in a second. I just wanted to have a little bit of fun. I don't know. I also, we got the Rodecaster. I kind of got it working with the gaming PC. So I've got my sound bites back and I wanted to open one. Yeah. How y'all doing today? Good to see you. It's Monday, as you know. I hope you know. You guys are all well aware that it's Monday, right? If you're not, here's your reminder. Here's your good morning, your afternoon, your evening. We're going to start talking about ships. Oh yes, it's that time. I did a podcast with Star Jump over the weekend. If you haven't seen it, I would go check it out. It was a pretty good talk. We talked a lot about the possible ships we might see this year based on things we've seen from discussion in Star Citizen's monthly reports, Inside Star Citizen, Star Citizen Live, CitizenCon, all the things. So we got together and we talked it out pretty hardcore for about an hour and a half yesterday.
Thank you very much.
What ships we might see. Ironclad. Oh, Jesus. All right. And Zeus opening, dude, just beat our freaking goal. I don't even know. Was that I hadn't reset it for the day. But okay, man. Hey, yeah, we've got the you can now you've allowed us to introduce the Toes Gang board finally, Zeus. Hold on, move it over a little bit. Toes Gang. Toes. Shifty, thank you for the membership. 3 years of membership over on YouTube. My dude. Appreciate you. And Zeus, man. Good, sweet freaking Lord, dude. I appreciate you. Thank you for the support, buddy. Hope you're having a good year. I gotta figure out where I was on chat, what I was saying. Most humble intro ever. Echo, I do it for you, buddy. YouTube. How y'all doing? I'm sorry, we kind of started without you. I promise not to do that again. At least is for next week. I might forget that, sorry. Welcome in though, guys. Ice Racer, Just and Potato. Good to see you. Boker, Lord Skippy, Funkmaster, Shifty, Flopalore, Luna Maria. Welcome in, everybody. Krivicus. Howdy. Good to see you. Today, your sacred morning tea and tomato routine is back. Your mother has Rico for the day, so you get to put your feet up and enjoy. Very nice. Ah, yes, the family. Having the family around can help. Great to hear. You missed the song AAK? Hey man, you know what? Don't worry. What's to say you can't listen to it again, huh? Toes. It could be a little background noise. You gotta get your jig in too. I understand if you guys were a little late today. It's a Monday. Tin Man, thank you for the sub. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Tin Man. Much love to you. 11 months, too. That's almost a whole freaking year. We're going to have some wild stuff to go over this year, folks. Like I said, we're going to talk about ships today. Specifically, ships in 2025. I know they're probably going to do their whole if you missed it this year, last year sale. I don't care if I missed it. I don't want it. We're going to look forward to what might be coming next and why. Because if there's one thing that has started to become clear with Star Citizen ship releases, it's that every ship has a much clearer reason than they used to. And that's not just in-game reasons. A lot of the ships that we see coming in act as onboarding tasks for new employees. Some of them end up being updates that we just get because something else is happening. A lot of them feed into other ship updates, specifically because that's just the way it works. Like, you want to work on the same kind of ship manufacturer over time because you can use those same parts and get ships out faster. So they're starting to add a lot more rhyme and reason to the way they're releasing ships, which gives us a little bit more to go off of when we're guessing and when we're looking into things. But I will still say, keep in mind, salt. Big old grain of salt. Nobody actually knows what ships are coming out, and there will probably be several more besides what we go over today. But the goal for today is to come up with our little list of what we think there might be. They're already doing a sale with IAE ships for concierge. Really? They're doing an IAE sale right now? How long until the in case you missed it? Dude, I have no idea. I don't even know. It's supposed to be this week, I'm pretty sure. Let's see when it was last year. So last year in January. Things to do, monthly reports. Okay, we'll build a little further back. Yeah, January, here's the 22nd. So the in case you missed it sale happened that week. Yeah. So we'll probably see this pop up today. They might have already confirmed that. I might just be behind the ball on this one. Last year was the first time they did this, and I was really hoping it was going to be the last time. Just a little in my mouth. You're wondering when the Polaris will be finished? Well, I mean, if you're looking for it to be finished, not for a long time, just like every other ship. What is this? This is, okay, this is inside. This is this week in Star Citizen. Last year, this week. So let's start with, I think probably the most exciting for a lot of people. The one that most people are anticipating or looking forward to from the list last year. In fact, actually, why don't we start with that list and we'll go from there. That makes it easy. Oh, I am on the wrong account. As always. Get over here. Okay. Hey, and look, it was at the right spot too.
Out. And that's because we want to align it with hacking gameplay.
All right. So this was CitizenCon of last year, and they were talking about the ships that they, hold on, let me get some. This is actually extremely distracting music. it's so like exciting. All right. So this was the list from CitizenCon of last year, and they were showing us the different ships that they were working on the previous year that they wanted to have out by that time. Now they got all of these ships out except for the Legionnaire. Late last year, we saw the Crusader Intrepid and the Mirai Guardian. They were the last two. The Polaris is out, but as you said in chat, not finished, just like a lot of these other ships. The Retaliator had been out. Okay, they just updated this for modularity, which was a big deal, but not super consequential to most people. So that's last year's list. Let's go to this year's list. Balton, thank you so much for the 5 memberships, my friend. How are you doing this week? All right, let's listen to what they have to say here.
Can't just leave without teasing a little bit more. So let's have a quick look at just some, emphasis on some, of the vehicles that we're working on in the next 12 months.
Okay. We got a couple of these already. So this is CSV. We're going to touch on this later when we talk about base building. We're going to talk a lot about, if you've watched the podcast, you know we're going to talk a lot about base building and crafting today. The ships that are coming out this year, the possibilities that we are seeing have a lot to do with base building. And I think this is going to be, yeah, dude, freaking Zeus. Okay, so I didn't reset the goal from Saturday, but Zeus just like exploded our subs this morning. Little stream Santa move, as you know, as he's wont to do. Echo, thank you for the bit. The board or written on your kneecap during the long awaited hot tub stream. You'd like to be on the board for the 1 bit. The 1 bit gets you on the board. Now, can we put Balton on the board, please, for the 5 subs? Appreciate you, my dude. Okay, sorry. I just want to make sure this is updated so it doesn't look like we're doing like a straight up streamathon. If I'm not mistaken. Arctic, Anansi. Oh no, that's 2 days ago. Okay. Arctic, Anansi, and Zeus and Tin Man. Awesome. Thank you guys. You good people. Good Monday to you. We have a board now. Look at that. Wait, you can't see it. Sorry. Look at that. It's the Toes Gang board. Trying to make him a board member. I might also do diagrams on here. little drawings because I'm not great at Microsoft Paint. Okay, I'm sorry. Let's continue. So CSV is our first. Subsale cat. This is, we don't know yet, but it's looking like some kind of a ground vehicle. Honestly, this looks like it could probably be carrying a drone. But considering they've got boxes and armed personnel around, I'm guessing this is just like an APC with some storage. So maybe like an URSA competitor, possibly a little bigger than an URSA, it looks. Yeah, this actually looks like, I mean, depending on how far away this is, we can't tell what the perspective is compared to this person. If this is a little further away, this thing could be like Nova sized, or it could be like a little smaller than a ballista. I can't really tell, but yeah, tank treads, cargo space clearly based on the boxes around, and armed personnel. This is definitely some kind of a comment. There's a turret on top. Like, you can see what this is. So probably not going to carry drones. It's not meant for that. Okay, this one, though, is a little bit bigger. They're going hard on the ground vehicles, huh? Like, the first three things are ground vehicles. This is almost looking like the ballista platform. Got a little antenna back here, which does remind me of the larger ground vehicle that they had for the base building before they ratcheted the size down to the CSV. Back in SitCon 2023, when they were showing us the Galaxy, the Pioneer, they showed us that long truck kind of base building thing. I get vibes of that from this just because the antenna back here, but clearly it's got a big turret on it. We got more armed personnel here, and there are no boxes. So there's probably not cargo space in this. This thing could be a competitor to the Spartan for some reason. I don't know. Do you guys think there's any reason to have a competitor to the Spartan? Does that make sense? Flop a lower. Yo, thanks for the membership, my man. Appreciate you, buddy. A Spartan RV. Okay, actually, if this thing had like some beds in it. But you can't have an RV without storage space, right? I don't see any cargo boxes around here. Like, it does not feel like they are emphasizing the ability to transport stuff. Is there a ground vehicle for refueling it? Not yet, no. That's another thing is I don't know how they're doing ground vehicles now. A lot of their philosophies have changed over the last 4 or 5 years. Actually, I would say over the last 2 years, with base building and crafting becoming so much more important. I don't know if their ground vehicles that might be focused on something that has to do with refueling or base building would also have a turret on it. They might start doing that more, or they might have it be where industrial focused ground vehicles don't have guns. I mean, for the most part, they haven't yet. The Mule doesn't. The Rock doesn't. The Spartan kind of does, but that's like a armed transport, so that doesn't really count. So I don't know. Because it has a gun on it, I think it's not industrial focused in any way. Okay, we've already gotten this. This came out last year. Hornet, Terrapin, last year. Guardian, last year. Okay. Here's our first ship that is, I mean, we basically already know what this is. We don't know the name for sure, but due to different leaks, if you don't want to hear about leaks, mute yourself for a few seconds, come back in like 20 seconds. Due to leaks in files, we already know that this is the MISK Fortune, most likely is the name. It is focused on salvage, and it is looks a lot like the Prospector. In fact, they released like a teaser of this at one point. It's like a glitched picture. You can pretty easily, oh, dang it. You can pretty easily look up. Yeah. See, there's like, so there was a video where it like popped up like this and people have just unglitched it. So you can see what it looks like. And it is, It looks a lot like the Prospector. It's clearly a MISC ship. We've seen some sneak peeks of this over the last few weeks. There's, I guess somebody recreated it. I don't know. Interesting. But they've been dropping teasers. Not really seeing them here. Like over the last couple of weeks here, this interior is believed to be the interior of the MISK Fortune. Blow that up so you guys can see it. And that's believed because you can actually see the panels on the side here. So what they did was they replaced the pads on the pods on the side that hold your minerals in a Prospector with actually pads on the side that can store boxes that carry salvage. So you can see that on the outside through the window here. Definitely giving the impression that this ship is actually a bit longer than the Prospector, possibly. I believe the Prospector has the cockpit, a room, and then this would be like the bed section, right? And then after this, it's all gone. There's no more ships. So this already looks like it's a little longer than the Prospector because this hallway keeps going back. Unless there's a wall right here. We can't really tell. But yeah, people believe that's the interior of it. We've also seen a couple of pictures showing what is believed to be the exterior, which is like the little exterior cargo grid. I don't know, pull up somebody else's video for that, but I don't see any pictures. Yeah, here we go. So this was another tease that was posted, and you can see here that same panel structure on the outside here that's looking like it's meant to store boxes is showing up right here, and you can see that window right here that we're looking out of right behind it. So same ship. Clearly it's a MISC design. You can tell from the exterior and the interior. It's got this like hallway fuselage section that clearly has a printing module down here that people believe is for salvage. And then it looks like there's actually little conveyors on this, kind of like in the Vulture. So you basically just pass the box out and up. What I'm wondering is my scale off here at all? Is there a possibility that these could be bigger than one SCU size boxes? Because if you could fit, say, 2 or I don't know, even 4 SCU size boxes on here, it could offer a step up from the Vulture in some ways, even though it is looking like this is going to be a more risky ship to use, storing stuff on the exterior. These are ones. You can just tell from the size. Well, if they are ones, that would be what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 SCU. How much does the Vulture hold? $12 SCU. Okay. So it would match the Vulture, offering a side grade or a side option. It is likely a smaller ship than the Vulture because the Vulture is freaking huge. It's only coming with 1 laser, it looks like, as opposed to 2. So it's a little bit of a downgrade there. But you do have VTOL thrusters. And we know there's an elevator in the back too. Oh yeah, plus the buffer. Good call. Yeah, both sides. 6 on both. The Vulture can double that off-grid inside ship. I don't think, honestly, I'm going to stick to official numbers because I think as we go further on in time, I'm not going to feel comfortable telling people to just throw boxes in their ships if we are going by the expectations that those boxes can get damaged. If CIG is smart, they're going to make it so that boxes lose some form of efficiency if they're not on a cargo grid and they're bouncing around in your ship and you're not flying softly, in order to make sure that the ships actually fit what they're designed for. But you can probably shove boxes inside of here too. Now, we know from this video that there's a cargo lift in the back as well. So we're missing something. Like, we're not getting it all from these pictures. There's more in the back area here that we can't see in this picture. Something else back here, because that cargo lift's got to go into something. And we clearly can't tell here because of the exterior. So there's a little bit more going on in the back of this ship that we might not know about. Maybe there's a little extra storage back there that can just like sit on a ramp and come back down. But this is looking like another opportunity for salvage to players. And what we said on the podcast yesterday was, this is the first real salvage ship in Star Citizen. Both the Reclaimer and the Vulture were designed for salvage before they designed salvage gameplay. So they didn't actually build those ships for the game. This is going to be the first ship that they went and made the salvage gameplay and then came back and designed to ship around the gameplay. So this might be the choice a lot of people end up picking because it's probably going to be a little bit more fitting, I think. Maybe it fits a rock. that would be pretty cool. Maybe it fits a rock with a salvage. Maybe it fits a rock with a salvage arm on it. Hey, I think Mrs. Tomato just started a surprise giveaway. We're giving away a Guardian. Very nice. If you're in chat, I guess we are talking about ships, so it's fitting. This one from CIG?
Yes, it is from CIG. And there's 2 secret giveaways. One, only for the people that were here during the stream last week.
Yeah.
And then there's
Yeah. So thank you to CIG for gifting this out to us so that we could pass it on to the community. Guys, we got a Mirai Guardian on giveaway in chat right now. ! Giveaway will make the link pop up. Hit that link and you can get in there. There is a I'm sorry, did Chris Wayne just pop into chat from CIG? Hello, if you are truly Chris Wayne, that's pretty cool. Hi. This one is ending in a couple weeks. You got a couple secret codes for this. The first one you guys would have gotten last week if you were here at that stream. That was ridiculous. Very sorry for that. But you saved that secret code. I hope you can now input it to get a couple extra points into this giveaway. The second one will be coming probably at some point whenever Mrs. Tomato is feeling like it. So thank you for being here if you are. Hope you're enjoying the stream. The ships. So the salvage ship is nice. I'm also interested in not just the fact that this is a ship that clearly is going to fit the gameplay because it's built after the gameplay. This also might introduce something. Don't get your hopes up. I'm not trying to say anything for certain or even that it's likely, but it is possible that a new industrial focus ship might come with a small update to that industrial focus. But there are other ships that I think we'll talk about later that might come later this year that are more likely for that kind of thing. Rock DS rework salvage. Honestly, I think the Rock DS would be a great vehicle if they just put a tractor beam on it. You don't even have to do anything else to it, really. It's like, it makes sense. We move around as we move boxes. You need to manipulate those boxes as you move. That's more a two-person job than mining. And it can also lift 32 SU boxes and drive pretty quickly. That might be the best way to move 32 SU boxes around. And it's a two-person job. I feel like that makes way more sense than a mining based rock. Be more than happy if it just had conveyor belts, so it's a unique feature. It is a unique feature, I guess. Yeah, it's better than having to go and remove the boxes from the feeder every single time. I guess that's what we can see as an improved part of the design based off of knowing and learning from the Vulture what happened there. So there you have it. Fortune, our first ship we're looking at. I'm betting this one could be something we see in February. It could be, but likely a March release or April 4.1. That didn't work. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, this one, I don't really have much to say about this, to be honest. It looks small enough that keep in mind, this video is all the ones they're starting in the next year. This isn't the ones that they're definitely going to release. That's why we're going to through this, and we're going to talk about our own speculation. This looks like something they could start and finish this year, though. There's a lot of belief that this is a consolidated Outland design. I can see some of it. People who have been looking at some of the designs, that they can find, or like lightening up these pictures and stuff, are seeing design cues from CNOU. Maybe that is, maybe that isn't. I don't know. This looks like a small transport ship. It really doesn't look like it's going to make a huge difference, but it could also be something very important. This could be the first passenger transport ship. We don't know. It also kind of looks like whatever is down here on the bottom. I don't know where the heck I'm getting this from, so I might be way the fuck off right now. I feel like whatever's down here on the bottom might disconnect from the ship. Like it might be almost a drop ship kind of thing, a drop pod. If true, I'm going to have to come back to this moment and clip this and bring it back up when that does happen. If not, we will ignore this happened and just pretend I never said anything. All right, next ship. This one's clearly Drake. And I appreciated the take that Starjump had on this during the podcast. He just basically said, they just saw the combat prowess people had for the Corsair and made a heavy fighter from Drake that's inspired by the Corsair. Which I then replied, so they nerfed the Corsair to release this. Mark my words, if this ends up being a Drake heavy fighter, then we are going to hear so much screaming when this comes out. It'll be something. Looks a bit like a ship from Luthen from the Star Wars Andor series. Oh, his Hallcraft. The Corsair Mark II. Oh, that wasn't my take. That was Starjump. Watch it have 4-size 5 gun. Oh, somebody at CIG is just like, oh, they're gonna hate this. Yes, yes. Another just the cabin of the Corsair. I don't know if that's what it is. I can't even tell what the scale is here. Okay, so my thing on this ship is that if you can't just make videos bigger these days. If you look at this guy, he's tiny compared to this ship. I don't know if the Corsair is that tall, man. I think the Corsair's main body is like maybe up until like right here. Hold on, can I find a good... It depends on the lens, it depends on the perspective. It's so hard to be able to tell. But let's see if I can find a picture that's similar. Even without the wings, it just looks really tall. Is there a person in here? Yeah, there's people here. Okay, let's check this picture out. Thank you, Fleet Yards, for the lovely picture. It's not great. Like, it's not a great comparison. But I would say that I don't know, man. This ship looks huge. It looks way taller than the Corsair. It is the wrong angle and everything. But like, you don't have to try that hard. They're not... This person here looks like they're not even getting up over the freaking landing gear. Unless I'm seeing that wrong. Come on, somebody must be standing next to a Corsair somewhere. It's not, it's a popular ship. You know what we should be doing is going in game and matching all these pictures. Like playing them out in the engine and seeing what they look like. There's a concept image of people next to the Corsair. Doesn't quite do it though. Landing suction cup. It looks kind of like that, doesn't it? Looks like a little... somebody pointed out actually that the landing gear looks a lot like the Reclaimer's landing gear. Just kind of like toes, basically. Giant metal toes folding out. No? Nobody's standing in this picture? Where are all the people standing? Think of the children. Person next to Corsair had barely reached the engine to sell. Right, but that's a concept. I can't use that one. Because the Corsair in the concept is pretty high up off the ground. As you can see here. You can't really see there because my head is blocking it. See if I can find it. Dude, Google Images is still terrible at showing us the pictures that we click on. Jesus Christ, Google. How is it so hard? Where is that picture? Here we go. So you can see the clearance on the Corsair was really high in the concept. Almost to the point where you could drive a vehicle underneath it. Whereas the actual release version is really low to the ground. Here we go. So this is a weird lens. Definitely low field of view, so it might make the Corsair look a little bit bigger, but it's something. Yeah, I don't even like it's too hard to compare that, but this ship looks absolutely way taller. I'm sorry. I can't say for any certainty because they're probably different lenses and styles of shooting and distances between the bodies and everything. But the ship itself, even compared to the nearby objects, looks really big here. This looks like you could fit as many people on this ship comfortably as you could fit on this ship. It's just been like squashed. It's like a squashed Corsair, a squashair. I don't even know what to call it, but that is one of the ships. I don't know if this would come out this year. Honestly, we have really no idea what this ship is, where it might be coming from, or what it's related to. So nothing to go off of, but maybe it'll release. Who knows? They're working on other Drake ships this week or this year, and we'll talk about those. Hey, Nerfly, thank you for the Prime sub, dude. And Bolton with the bits and the sub. 12 months? Dude, you're excuse me. You're right up there with Tin Man. In 2025? I don't know about this one. In 25. Looks like a weird style from Drake proportion wise. It looks more wonky like a Nomad does, but with Drake wings. Let's continue. Okay. This one's very, very obvious once you start pulling up the pictures. This is your grandbaby old daddy, the RSI Apollo. Everybody's favorite little medevac that we've all been waiting so long for. This one... If this one wasn't tied to gameplay, I would say we'll probably see this year. Even then, I still think we'll probably end up seeing it this year. But just like with, where is it? This ship, I don't know if this is a medical ship coming in to bolster medical gameplay, or if it's just going to be a new medical ship. It would be really weird to me for them to have waited all this time to do the Apollo and then release it without the gameplay that is specific to it, especially after they've said all that. So today, we're going to take a big old grain of salt. We're going to shove it in our ear hole, leave it right there next to our brain so it stays very persistent. And we're going to jump into this conversation with the expectation that both drones and expanded medical gameplay will be in the game this year. So much hopium. Now, this ship is kind of like it's like a flying clinic almost. It's not an ambulance, not like the Cutlass Red. This one has a lot more going on the interior. This is like the workhorse of the medical profession in game. It has an interior that comes with 2 different bays, one on left and one on right. You can see all the way from we're almost at the back of the ship in this view, all the way straight through the center hallway to the front with the bridge up there. You can see clearly an RSI bridge. They've got the seats coming from the top, just like in the Connie, just like in the Polaris, just like in a lot of their big ships. On the sides are these hospital bays that I mentioned. And what you can do with these bays is actually split them up. RSI doesn't have all the pictures for the ship. Of course not. Let's go to the wiki. We'll probably actually have it. Was it that small from these images? Thought the ship would be way bigger. It's about 40 meters long. It's not a small ship, not a particularly huge ship, but it's definitely a medium. It probably grew over time, so I'd expect this to be around 45, 50 meters long. So he was standing here. He was looking all the way through to the cockpit here. Again, this is about 40 meters in length. There's a ramp in the back with an airlock on it. You've got these 3 beds on the side. Now, these can be 3 size 3 beds, 3 tier 3 beds, 2 tier 2 beds, or 1 tier 1 bed. That's probably going to change because the understanding there was that the higher level the bed, the more it would take up more space, right? You wouldn't be able to have 3 tier 1 beds. That wouldn't make sense. But the tier 1 bed being a respawn point versus the tier 3 bed being for injuries has changed since they released the ship, so they might change the design how this works. But our original understanding was that you would have multiple beds on either wing. So you're making a business of medical gameplay if this is your ship. This is one of those things that shows us that medical is not just going to be some little, oh, I got an injury here, I need a little med pen. Like, they want to get deep into it. They want to make sure that people can really expand on it. There's probably going to be a lot of interaction here when it comes to NPCs and stuff like that. So you can, I think, if this is something you're interested in, expect that there will be more to it. The other part of this is, like I mentioned, the drones. They're basically just little beds, but these are drones. These are automated devices that you are meant to be able to launch from your Apollo that will retrieve somebody out in the field and bring them back into your ship and load them into that bed we were just looking at. And if I can figure out how to get the heck out of this view, here we go. They have a picture here of one of those drones working. Is it this one? Yeah, here. So there's a little opening in the bottom of the ship. And you can see it'll carry your patient up in a little hover drone up through the center. And then you lay down there, and that's the spawn kind of thing. Do I know what the base configuration will be? They've got it here. There's 2 versions of the ship. There's the Apollo Triage and the Apollo Medivac, both meant for slightly different things. I don't really remember what, though. The Triage is for first class rescue. It's got a size 3 radar, size 2 computer, one size 3 power plant, 2 size 3 coolers, 2 size 2 shields. It's got the size 2 jump drive, 2 medium fuel intakes, 2 medium fuel tanks, 2 medium quantum fuel tanks, 2 thrusters, and then it's got a turret on it, just for a little bit of defense. So a lot of people are hoping that this is like their trip into the fuel rats of Star Citizen, that people can start their enterprising medical businesses that are always going around and helping people. Honestly, I don't know how much this type of gameplay is going to be player interaction. I think a lot of it is going to end up actually being player NPC interaction, and that goes both ways. I think players will end up getting revived a lot by NPC medics, and I think players will also end up being medics for a lot of NPCs, explorers and soldiers and people who need help out in the field just to create those missions. Then there's the sandbox side of this, which is helping people who have put out medical beacons. We can go back to CitizenCon of last year and jog our memory a little bit. I always do it on the wrong account. I'm sorry. Jog our memory a little bit.
We're moving.
These beacons that they were mentioning here. Where were they? So this,
And they already cover
is that the guide system?
and orgs are combining
Orgs.
totally desperate people.
Yeah, beacons. So medical is one of those beacons. This is going to be, I mean, AAK, are you in chat, dude? Weren't you here just a little bit ago? This is a huge part of the game. And even Nick last year, that's right, there's a little bit more proof about this. Maybe I should do a video on how medical is gonna go, because there's a lot of messaging on this recently that beacons and player missions are actually gonna end up being a big thing. Where was that? This one?
I mean, one big difference here is,
versus the effort.
I mean, for the first part, I know Nick.
Player, it's not going to be soloable. So it can't just be the case that I get this reward when I do the numbers of the low. It's not a straight line. It's quite a curve.
There you go. What do you say to, so obviously, you know, those are those calculations. We talked a bit about how we calculate calculate effort, you know, and how hard it is in something. What about time? Time is another factor.
Here we go.
Player contracts and job boards. Will players ever be able to set up contracts to have cargo or items hauled by other players?
So we do have player beacons, and I know what that current state of that is, but
The way he talks about this is so funny. He's like, I really don't want to talk about the beacons.
that
What
is
it, Nick?
a
What is
system.
the current state? Go ahead, admit it.
Worked perfectly.
It's a feature, but that's something
it?
which we.
They
It's like-
literally like took him out because they were working so
The economy, it's
Non-existent? Oh, sorry.
All right, so
I'm glad.
Jared shows a
Concerns
bit,
you-
but he
it's
legitimately
of
talks here
their-
about the beacons and how important they are.
Sometimes,
That's right.
yeah,
Gotta have fun to make.
aware of it. We try to get player.
the beacon system is something which provides for players to contract other players, and it's a system we will be looking to expand upon in the future. And personally, I think that this side of the economy is fundamental, given that we are having a hybrid economy.
So there's definitely importance to the beacons. Like, they're focused on them. They're coming up. They've got the RSI Apollo in production, which is probably going to depend on medical beacons. So there's a good chance that we see medical gameplay expand this year with this, but that's a lot to add on top of the stuff that we're already expecting. I wouldn't set your expectations on it, but I do think we're going to see the RSI Apollo, which is a cool addition for the year. A big hit on the backlog. I think that was a good ship for them to get worked on. Starlancer, we've already seen. This is the TAC? No. Yeah, this is the TAC. You can see the turret sticking out here, I think. No? Is this the max? So they got a bunch of box all over the place. And actually, I think the turret would be sticking out further if it was the TAC. Does the Max have little guns on the front here? I don't think they really confirmed the TAC was going to be coming this year. He announced the code a few days ago when he was frustrated with the new soundboard, but I don't remember. Yeah, that was that's why I was telling everybody to remember that one. We have another secret code, but I don't know when that one's coming. Max does not have guns. Okay, so this would be the TAC. We already have vehicles that are on this list. So it is, I wasn't sure if they had put the Max on here or not. So this is the TAC. Is it the TAC, dude? What about the, oh, thank you. What about the build? Does the build have turrets there? Yay, Mrs. Tomato bought the tea. It does. The build does have turrets there. Yeah, I think it's the build. The TAC has massive turrets coming out of the side of it. And I think if we were looking at that ship, they would show up in the silhouette. See, you would see them. Yeah, you'd see the build ships, right? The lights poking out the side. That's definitely the bottom one. You can even tell from the shape. So this is the build. So they are saying that at least the build will get work, which I guess is something that we already knew. Doesn't mean it's coming out, but it is getting worked on. What does the Max look like? Oh, the Max has the same gun. Yeah, the Max has the same guns on the side. Yeah, I'm not really actually seeing anything that makes this different from the build or the Max. Definitely not the TAC, because that turret's not there. But what sets the Max apart from the build? Yeah, the Max was out immediately after, but so were the Hornets. I guess the Max was out like that day. It's not talked about enough how medical is already deep, but rendered trivial by the auto toggle in advanced mode on the med gun. Yes, absolutely agreed there. Thank you so much for the membership, Lucid. Good to see you, man. 31 months, my dude. I am full agreed there because medical gameplay has the depth to make it really complicated, but you don't have to use it at all. You just hit the auto button. And I don't think there's any reason to not use the auto button. Like, I don't think you get benefits from going manually unless you specifically wanted to induce a certain effect. John Cruz said we're getting a variant of a ship tease last year during IAE, so in theory it could be an Apollo variant. It could be the Medivac. The only ship teased at the previous IAE that also had a silhouette was the Guardian. Yeah. That's not what we were talking about. We were talking about the fact that they could show ships in this video that really quickly after the video. Now we're talking about spaceships. What do you think of the Onyx Cinder from the recent Star Wars Skeleton Crew series? I haven't been watching that. I hope it's a medical year. Check the nose light. It is the Max. The build doesn't have the nose light. Okay, yeah, nose light on the Max. Oh, you are right. It doesn't have the light on the front. Okay. So this is, and that makes sense with the boxes too. So they're trying to emphasize cargo here. If in case you missed it, I have no idea. Oh yeah, I'm still a little slow with the chat today, Lucid. You like the Star Lancer, but you think it's misleading to call it a max. Agree. Your medic crew memorized all the symptoms and their treatments, but you've forgotten all that because there's no point with the auto toggle. Yeah. The death counter's for when I'm playing the game. Probably should be able to toggle that when I'm not playing the game, huh? Okay. Star Lancer max, I think I'm going to settle on here. I think it sets better expectations to just assume this is the max. The headlight's a good spot. The devs misunderstood the question on SCL. That sucks. Okay, what's next? Yes. So this is when things start to get interesting with this list because this is a bigger ship. We're starting to get up there. So this is a ship that competes with the Hammerhead, actually. It is called the RSI Perseus. And it's kind of been expected that we would be seeing it. Gosh dang it. This is like what is this even called? A patrol gunship. Okay. A large patrol gunship developed in the late 2520s. Wow, it's an old one. By RSI, it was redesigned as a civilian model in 2950. Imagine a company coming out like 400 years later and being like, hey, you know that gigantic war machine we made 4 centuries ago? Yeah, Bill said his son wanted one. Could we like civilianize that? Originally, it was intended for blockade duty and engagements against sub-capital ships. The Perseus is outfitted with four, count them, 4. You know what they say when they fire off? You know what those 4 freaking cannons say? They don't say the trombone. Sorry, I fat-fingered that. No, really, every time they freaking fire. 4 size 7 cannons, so these are meant to take out some big ships, supported by 2 smaller remote turrets and a launch bay of 20 size 5 torpedoes. So like, this is about the size of a Hammerhead. They actually make that very clear in the marketing materials. Just give that one a moment to sink in. Can you imagine putting, like, if companies were putting out actual marketing pictures of their vehicles just absolutely decimating the competition's view, like not beating it in a race or something, but splitting it in half and flying through the insides as all of the human beings that were on board die in a vacuum, screaming and choking on their own melting lungs.
A bit grim for a Monday.
Well, maybe they should think a little bit more strongly about their marketing material. This is dark. Anyways, the Perseus is about the size of the Hammerhead, but you don't need 7 people to fully crew it. This one is a 1 to 6 person crew. Obviously, you only need 2, 1 person to fly it and another person in the big fucking gun in the front, lighting people up. But I think this will be a little bit more doable with small groups than something like the Hammerhead. It's also not meant for the same thing. The Hammerhead is an anti-fighter screen. This is clearly some anti-capital, anti-large ship kind of ship, but I think similar crews will still look at it, just look at doing different missions when they go out, you know? Fighter food, well, that's why you got to have a Hammerhead to back one of these up. Seems a tad OP. No, it's at risk of, I mean, like I'm saying, there's nothing really there outside of a couple smaller turrets here and there, right? couple here and there on top and bottom to defend this ship from something like, say, an Ares or a Retaliator or, I don't know, any other small ship meant to take out big ships. Because you're not really going to hit it with this turret. This ain't meant to hit a fast mover. It's like 4 ions with a bunch of size 5 missiles. That's one way to put it. Makes it feel like the ion maybe should have been made by RSI. They said the Perseus isn't made to take on capital ships. It won't have enough defensive capabilities to survive against the combat capital ships. Does this not have large shields? It's got large shields. 2 large shields. Let's see, does it have PDCs? I mean, if this thing has PDCs, I feel like it should be okay. But yeah, maybe not capital ships, rather the smaller capitals, like maybe your odd Polaris possibly, but mostly your Nautilus, your other Perseus, your Hammerhead. What else would there be? Probably your support ships. So not like your Idris or your Javelin, stuff like that. It won't have PDCs? Okay. Has a ton of armor. Yeah, I bet. Actually, of all of the ships in the game, this one looks like it would have the most armor. This looks more badass to me than the Idris or the Javelin. Cool ship. Quite expensive for the size, I would say. Jesus. This thing is 100 meters long. Like, it's not gigantic. It is, to put that into perspective, the Galaxy is 110 meters long. That doesn't help. It's not in game. Where is the... I think the Caterpillar is about 78 meters long or so. What's a 100 meter long ship? 600i? Hammerhead? Hammerhead's probably the most logical to compare this to. Yeah, Hammerhead's 120. So this is smaller than a Hammerhead. Just keep that in mind. 675 f***ing dollary dues. Paying that for a couple big guns, I would say, earn this one in game. But, you know, you guys do you. All right, next ship. You can even hear the cheers. People are excited for that one. But even more so, this one. This is what I was originally going to start today with. But I thought we could hold off a little bit and wait until the end because, well, I guess not the end, but like the middle. This is the Ironclad. The Iron Chad, the Fatter Pillar, whatever you want to call it. This ship is very hyped, and I think they know it's hyped. Partially because people are really excited for the ship itself. It's a pretty cool utilitarian industrial cargo hauler. It feels like it's really gritty and straight from some of the deepest and most, the deepest and darkest corners of sci-fi lore. But it is also the precursor to this. Now, that cheering that you just heard there, most of the crowd was still asleep from the early morning start. Okay, this actually, I think this was towards the end of the day. I don't care. That was not encompassing of how much hype there is behind the Kraken. This ship might be one of the most hyped ships in Star Citizen, period. In fact, if we go back to my channel, I think I did a community poll last year, and I was just like trying to make a point that the Polaris was very hyped, more so than some of the other big ships like the Idris and Javelin. So let's go all the way back to that hype, that poll, because something I did that was very stupid, I didn't know just how dumb it was at the time, was I put the Kraken on the same poll. You don't put the Kraken on the same poll as anything, because it will always win. Now, I was still able to make my point. The Polaris was easily the highest voted of the ships that I was really caring about and trying to get people to answer about, but the Kraken took freaking 45% of the vote over the Polaris. So it's a very hyped ship. And that's not to say that it's coming this year. It's definitely not coming out this year. But the Ironclad is kind of the precursor to it. They've already confirmed the Ironclad will help them to make the parts that they need to then make the Kraken, like we talked about earlier. So after you see the Ironclad come out, there's going to be a lot of expectation that the Kraken is starting to be worked on, and that gets people excited. We talked about it in the podcast yesterday. We'll probably talk about it throughout this whole year, and this will not be anywhere near the end of you hearing about it. But let's go back to the ISC where they introduced the Kraken, or the Ironclad. And I want to give you guys a look at like why people like it from the devs' mouths themselves. This is a marketing pitch, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This whole thing is a very fancy marketing pitch. Even the freaking pictures are moving. So take that all into account. But they're going to describe here what the whole point of this ship is. And I think it really captured a lot of people, both in the design and in sort of what they're going for with it. They did say that this ship is actually in active production, yes. They actually said this was in production at the end of last year. And I believe Stardrump had a hot take on the podcast that he thinks they might. God, did he say it was the Ironclad? I think he said he thought the Ironclad might end up being introduced for Drake Defense Con. But I need to go back into the podcast and figure that out. Or Mrs. Tomato will be looking at that, and she could probably confirm. But there, maybe, I don't know. I don't know if there's a chance this ship makes it this year, but it's definitely in the works. Now, here's some news about it.
Kind of next step up for Drake cargo ships. It kind of builds on what the Caterpillar brings, but in a much larger form.
The Drake Ironclad is a 6-person multi-crew armored freighter. A large proportion of the ship is dedicated to the cargo bay at the front of it, which has both a front ramp for loading and unloading cargo and small vehicles on the ground, as well as a retractable roof for doing that in space with EVA as well.
Little tight entrances to cargo ships doesn't necessarily lend itself to when you're out in deep space and you're trying to quickly move some cargo from one person's ship into your ship. Really, you want as much kind of access to be able to do that as you possibly can.
Yes.
So by having this kind of much larger opening on top of the ship, it allows us to kind of bring cargo in much easier.
Man, I'm just really excited for the crazy shenanigans we're going to be able to get into with a cargo bay this big. We don't have a cargo bay this big in the game yet. I don't even know if the Idris cargo bay is this big. We could make mazes in here, dude. This size is like almost the size of the maps I was playing Halo 2 death matches on. And it's inside of a ship that we can put anywhere we want. It's kind of insane. I wonder as Maelstrom becomes more of a thing, and we start to see ship destruction in these larger ships, how realistic it's going to be able to just like cut the ship in half, but still kind of use both pieces like push them both close together, so you have this kind of self-made derelict ship you can make fun interactions out of. Think about the pillow fort fights. Oh man. And imagine the Drake pillows, dude. I bet they put bricks in those pillowcases.
So its role being a sort of armored freighter comes from two distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armored roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
Is also more heavily armored than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior, very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and quite thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have, so the exterior you see is pretty...
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Can we go back real quick? Sorry. Yeah, the Drake body pillows, dude. I wonder if they're going to make an Ironclad body pillow to snuggle with. I want to pull up some footage that we saw not long ago. CIG posted it. And it was their advertisements for like the way they were changing the storage system and stuff. But one of the things that we got to see was a kind of makeshift role play shop inside of a C2. Here. This is made up all of movable assets just sitting in a C2's cargo bay, right? So this is a C2 cargo bay, right? And you just put all of your stuff in there. Now, you have to work your own security. Like, you got to make sure people aren't stealing stuff. But if there was a way to lock this stuff down, which they've talked about with base building, but I'm talking ships here. If there was a way to lock this down, imagine what that would be like in a ship like this. Like, imagine just going to a system like Pyro, or let's even have more fun than it, a system like Nyx, where there might actually be ruins with some weird things you can find. Let's say you're just like an explorer, and you make the routes all over the star systems. Let's be a little weird and say 5-6 years from now, and there's maybe a couple other star systems we don't know about, but you've making the routes amongst all these star systems, and then you just lock them down in this ship. Go out into the Stanton system. Tell everybody that you know that you're out there. Put out the invites. Let them know your location. Hire a couple security and say, shop's open. I'm going to sell my stuff that I found to you guys. Hopefully it's pretty cool. Come hop on board of my Ironclad. We're out here. Like, we'll chill. We'll kick back for a bit. In the world of an MMO where you're not constantly running around trying to respawn, trying to avoid falling through a planet, trying to update your game because the PTU just came out again for the 5th time in a week. Those are the kinds of really cool activities that I care about in an MMO. I don't play MMOs, so I don't know them that well. But when I think about the whole reason I would play one, it would be to be able to go and find my friend's shop out in space. And this feels like one of the first ships that makes that seem really possible. Yeah, below decks we're dealing in organs, of course. Yeah, organs and eggs and the hides of aliens. Expat, how's it going? Good to see you in chat. Getting
Thank you very much.
Ship customization grid as per CitizenCon presentation. Are they doing that in the ships as well? Oh, they are. They said they were doing the base building thing in the ships also. That is true. Makes you sad that the merchantman won't come until this is totally possible and working. Silver lining, Rain. Think about it this way. If the merchantman had come in before this was all working, it probably wouldn't have been built well for it. Can't wait for PTUs to be monthly instead of daily. I can't wait to not have to go on the PTU, to not even care about it, because the game is so good, I don't need to see the new features for a couple weeks. Yeah, that's never going to happen, huh? Because I have to cover the features. Yeah, when we have a working game that takes less and less to survive, these types of things would be a lot more fun. Gotta wait for the Ironclad Privateer. Well, that's also the interesting bit, is that this is a precursor to the Kraken Privateer, because you can already do that stuff, assumedly, before the Kraken comes in. Still waiting for the 600i update. Whenever they get around to Origin again, I would say once they start talking about working on the G12 rover, you can imagine that there's probably going to be another Origin ship, and they'll update the Origin line. This year, it sounds like it's going to be a MISC Drake RSI mix of a year. All right, let's continue on this.
This sort of armored freighter comes from 2 distinct ways. One, the cargo itself is more protected. It's within the cargo bay that has the armored roof section that covers it. So unlike, say, a Hull C where the cargo's on the outside, you can load it from the outside but then protect it with the Ironclad.
Is also more heavily armored than the Caterpillar, so it kind of gives a little bit more security to your kind of precious cargo.
The exterior, very classic Drake brutish styling, a whole lot of engines and a lot of framework and
so many
quite
engines.
Thin structural elements support the rest of the ship. Very bare bones styling. It doesn't have lots of nice padding. It's all there and exposed, and it's really just sort of rugged and to the point. So the Ironclad is really 3 distinct areas. You have all the accommodation.
Vara, I would honestly, I feel last year they didn't focus on RSI. They wanted to, but didn't actually. I think that the ship team, I think their plans got pushed back quite a bit by, I mean, we can see it. It's not just the ships that were behind. It was engineering that was behind. It was master modes development that was behind. They had their hands too full. So I don't think last year was an RSI year. I think last year was a, we're building up the team and trying to start RSI kind of year. We'll see what happens this year.
In the rear sort of third of the ship. The front 2/3 is really just this cargo bay with the front entrance and the retractable roof. And then you have the command module, which has seats for the crew, plus a few little jump seats for everyone else. Command module is there to steer the ship when it's attached, and the command module serves as the escape pod as well. The only time you really want to detach it is in an emergency.
This is a really interesting thing to me. I haven't really touched on this much, but this reeks of survival gameplay, which we don't get too into in Star Citizen. It feels like whenever we start talking more about survival gameplay, there's a very significant pushback. But I think the fact that we have escape pods, detaching escape routes, minor crafting and stuff, all points to the fact that we're going to have some level of survival gameplay. I'm hoping it gets pretty deep. Like, I would love to experience something like how they start out in No Man's Sky, where you have to build up a ship to get off the planet, but we'll see what they do with it. One of the most important parts will probably be we need to be able to craft things from the very beginning. And then we need to be able to craft bigger things with smaller things, because you got to be able to start from 0 and then work your way up, or else it'd be hard to survive from a crash ship and then get back off the planet, you know? Yeah, we covered the Fortune at the beginning of the show. That's the issue, though. More promises not delivered. I understand their hands being full, but again, accountability. I don't know what they promised, to be honest. All I know is that they were going to focus on RSI ships, and they wanted to deliver the Polaris. I'm not sure what they didn't deliver that they did promise ship-wise from the previous year, except for the what's it called? Whoops. What is that one called? The Legionnaire. That was the one that they definitely missed. All right, more escape pods.
Not designed to be your sort of primary ship flying around.
It kind of gives you a little bit of a get out of jail free card if you're transporting stuff that is quite valuable, quite sought after in maybe some of our less desirable systems. What it allows you to do is kind of have a little bit of security. So if you're getting attacked or you're getting yourself into trouble, if you want to save yourself, you can kind of jettison your cargo and try and get out of Dodge and kind of get out to safety. And I think that's like a really important thing as we get closer to Death of a Spaceman.
With some of the recent tech that's come online, this brought us one step closer to implementing command modules properly. So not only will you see this detachable command module feature on the Ironclad, but as well it will happen on the Caterpillar.
Interior-wise, you've kind of got 2 entrances onto the ship. You can either enter via the command module, and that takes you straight into a kind of corridor section. It's kind of like, almost like a mezzanine. You can either go up to the habitation area, which is
I bet you they learned so much on how to construct that compared to the Reclaimer's mezzanine, because the Reclaimer's one is not a great experience.
For the ship gives you like super nice views out both the kind of cargo out the front and the rear of the ship, or you can kind of come down the ship into the main habitation area. Alternatively, you can enter through the dock and collar airlock, which is on the opposite side of the ship. At the rear of the interior of the ship, we've kind of got the heart of the engines. It's the big kind of engineering area where we've got all of the kind of main
functional... It's also the first, like we've seen this from Aegis and RSI, we've seen these like larger components, but we haven't seen those with Drake yet. They promised us an RSI-focused year along with engineering and many others. I believe the total delivery was half of what? Half of what they wanted. Legionnaire... Oh, you're not just talking about ships. Okay. I thought you were talking about the RSI ships. Legionnaire and many other ships, even the Zeus MR. No. What? Okay, now you're throwing me for a loop, dude. Half the ships. What did they say about RSI here?
Not tackling it as one ship, but established art style for RSI in our universe. And it gives us the ability to kind of train up newest members of the teams on something that's kind of quite a known element. That is absolutely not the only benefit, though. The way we are planning on tackling the Polaris,
I think you can get the pirate rivalry for the Caterpillar.
But actually, we want to tackle, well, anyone that knows our backlog knows we have a number of large RSI ships on there. And our kind of plan is that we tackle that as a family of ships. We don't just tackle one of them and then we go off and do something else for 6 months, a year, come back and do another one, something else, come back and do another one. We want to tackle them all together, one after the other. And what that really allows us to do is just kind of streamline our development process. We're able to, for our more common areas of the ship, we're able to build kits that we're confident in, that we can reuse and we can make the most out of them. And then that allows us to focus our development time and our efforts really on the much more unique and the important and exciting areas of each ship.
Hey, Mel, thank you for the super chat. Said thanks for your efforts and your insights. Thank you for your efforts and insights. I'm sure you got good efforts and insights. Love some efforts and insights.
Tackling them as a family kind of allows us to expedite their development. We leverage the experience that we've got within the team. And it just allows us to, like I say, streamline everything. So first up, we've got the Polaris.
See, this thing,
Next
yeah,
up,
I
the
think
Galaxy.
PK said it. This thing, I didn't think this would get out earlier than the end of the year last year. I thought this was going to be a Invictus or a IAE or a CitizenCon release. But even then, it feels like, as people have pointed out, it came out relatively unfinished in some places. It was lacking some detail, but it also at the same time, like this ship, from talking with Starjump and the way he looked at the models and stuff, this raised the bar for the other models of ships. So even if the interior of the ship might have felt a little bit low on detail, I'm not too bothered by it because I feel like it's a very bare bones sort of military ship. They just need to get the torpedoes working better. It does seem like this took up more of their efforts than they wanted because they probably wanted to at least get some updates on some of the other ships publicized last year.
Then we've got the Perseus.
Oh, the captain's quarters, right?
And that kind of closes out.
Yeah, so they said they're going from the Polaris to the Galaxy to the Perseus. But I don't think they said these are coming this year.
Are most of our large RSI ships. And then we can see what we want to take on after that.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk.
Dude, the RSI year narrative, was that a community made thing? Did they ever actually say that this was like an RSI year? And they definitely were like hinting at the idea that they're starting on RSI stuff.
RSI ship, like what is with that? So the thing about doing another RSI ship is that we've got a really well-established art style for RSI in our universe.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say they promised more ships. He did. Did I literally just miss it?
Well, I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about today. However, before we go, we're going to... Torsten's already stolen the...
And then we can see what we want to take on after that.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about today.
I want to touch again on why are we doing an RSI ship? Like, what is with that? So the thing about doing another RSI ship is that we've got a really well-established art style for RSI in our universe. And a known element, we want to tackle, and our kind of plan is that we tackle that as a family of ships. We don't just tackle one of them and then we go off and do something else.
Where the freaking heck did he say it?
Pretty much everything we want to talk about today.
See what we want to take on after that.
Well, I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about today. However, before we go, we're going to... Torsten's already stolen the predictable joke here. So
Wait, what part? This part?
And everything. So first up, we've got the Polaris.
Okay, first up, we got the
Galaxy.
Polaris. Next up, we got the Galaxy.
Then we got the Perseus.
Then we got the Perseus.
And that kind of closes out most of our large RSI ships. And then we can see what we want to take on after that.
Well,
Okay.
I think that's pretty much everything we want to talk about today. However,
I'm sorry, I'm not hearing anything about the year. But I do agree that they're trying to focus on the ships as they go. Yeah. Process of getting them done sequentially. Yeah, that's why the Perseus is here. Community felt like he said it because of the RSI caps being worked on next. I'm not getting that they're not doing that though. They said it in ISC or SCL, if you remember. You're gonna have to pull it up, man. Everybody seems to remember these things being said, and then when we go and look at it, there's not a promise. Like, I would love to be able to confirm that they told us that they were going to have like the RSI ships out last year, and I wish that they did, but it seems like they were behind, and they probably were. I hope they did a good job of not saying anything like that. You love that they don't mention the Orion. Yeah, that's not RSI. We don't we don't think about that. You think it's worth returning to SC now? No. Not right now. It's that they're covering a year at a time, and also that they said they are addressing RSI as a family. Well, I'll tell you this. I'll say this. If they say they're covering ships a year at a time, like if that comes out for some reason, if they say something like that, don't fucking believe it. Because it's not going to happen. We've seen how ships get developed, and I refuse to believe that they would limit themselves to 1 year. Like, there's no way that the team would be able to release a whole bunch of ships from one manufacturer in 1 year without disrupting all of the rest of their ship releases. He admits CIG's word can't be trusted. Dude, are you new here?
Girl, for real. What? What? Come on.
No, of course it can't be trusted. Every video I say, don't believe it till you see it. It's in the episode they confirmed to be working on the Ironclad. Oh, well, that's literally... Oh, that was the CitizenCon one, I think. Feels like we knew that. Yeah. I would say if they say they're going to focus on the ships going forward, like that's something that we can depend on because they're just going to keep doing it. But CIG is not we're doing this for 1 year and then we're moving to the next thing kind of thing. Even this year, they're saying that the plan is playability. It's not going to be like 2024 ends and then they're not doing playability anymore. It's going to be something that continues to stretch into the next couple of years. If they worked on AI Blade, you think they'd sell a lot more of the larger ships? Probably. But they should probably get their large ships in first and then do the AI Blades so that they can just test the large ships. After 9 years, you're not new. It's just more... No. Not new to Star Citizen. New to my chat. I very regularly tell people that CIG is not... You should not take it 100% at its word. You're saying each Sitcon ship panel has been focused on the coming year. People are extrapolating from that and the focus on RSI that it's effectively an RSI year. Right. And I'm saying that extrapolating is going to lead to disappointment. Now, I'm a victim of that. I extrapolate all the time. But when I get that disappointment, I try to remember that. If they pushed out RSI ships, the game would run faster. Well, it is Roberts Space Industries. But yeah, that's actually not... If we're on that topic with this, I would like to point out very clearly, these ships, as we've been talking about here, are not guaranteed to release this year. Even the idea that these are all scheduled to start development this year is not 100%. Don't look at these and think this is for sure. We're going over this because this is the direction that they're moving in. It doesn't mean these are the ships that they're definitely going to release. This last one is the biggest statement on its own to that regard, and it's the Pioneer. Like, there's a really good chance the Pioneer doesn't come out this year. I would say there's way more chance it doesn't come out this year, and it comes out the following year, because it's a massive ship. It has a lot of systems that depend on it, and I think it only just started production in like November. But we're going to go over it because this is a really, really important ship to the game now. Kind of a powerhouse. I guess we didn't really get all the way through the Ironclad, huh? Kind of robbed you guys of that a little bit. You would expect the Pioneer this year? I would say let's hope for the build first. And then maybe we'll get lucky and get the Pioneer as well. Back in history. Yeah, this ship, we probably shouldn't even really, I'm not going to go back in history. We don't need to cover this ship very thoroughly because it's not coming out this year, in my opinion. Just seeing some production. So we'll see highlights on it and some updates, but I really don't think it's going to be here. Canonless, thank you for the super chat. Why is there no core item called backpack straps? You got to get the module pack on your backpack strap. Actually, that's a fun topic. Not quite a backpack strap. No, this is not it. We want life in the first person.
Emotionally engaged in the.
No.
Do we interrupt?
Is living on? I thought it was living on the edge. Taking 5. Character advancement. There we go. Not quite backpack traps. Little pouches, though. I'll try to wiggle in there and be like, hey, can you guys include some backpack straps with this? Okay, Pioneer, because we got, this video is not the end of it. There's a couple other ships that I think we might see something on this year outside of the ones on this video they showed us. Because this video, while it might not be all the ships that will or will not release, I just said they probably won't all release this year. There are also ships that aren't on the list that will release this year. We saw a lot of straight to flyyables last year. But let's check out what they had to say specifically about the Pioneer as of the most recent update. This is a ship that was introduced back in like 2017 alongside the likes of Exploration. People were able to buy land claims. It was definitely the scandal of that CitizenCon, and it was quite a fun time, but it was a long time ago. And since then, we sort of stopped thinking about base building, and since then, they've expanded a lot into crafting. So they also had to expand and change the Pioneer. Now we get to get an idea of what the updated and expanded Pioneer is and how it fits into base building, which, as I said, is a big part of the talks of the next year
Medium
in
drones.
ships. So here's a little look from John himself as to how that all changed recently.
Large drones. What about bigger things? So, who can guess what that is? So, I talk to you all
quite some time ago about this in Germany, and this is obviously the original concept for the Pioneer. Now, some time has passed, and whilst the core concepts of base building have remained the same at a high level,
who likes this one more than the new concept? I think this one's got a nice look to it. I like it. But I was always wondering how this model was going to work. My main thing was, how would you build a large base if everything you built had to be in between these two arms? Like, what if you just had a really wide base? Would you not land? Or like, would you construct it in the air and then just drop it 50 meters onto the ground? That always confused me. I thought it was cool, but it kind of felt like it was designed with the product in mind rather than the journey to create that product. You're going to pledge for the Pioneer for your org, but you remembered it'll be rentable in game pretty efficiently. Yeah, or you could just hire somebody with one. You preferred the old one, but if you're being honest, you like the new one, especially with the bridge. Oh, the bridge is cool on the new one. Super glue the walls together. I like it. That's vacuum safe, right? It could expand to an L shape. I mean, you'd have to basically disconnect the entire ship apart. The whole back of the ship is back here, kind of expanding forward. Going to be fabs you built in the air and then dropped in. Yeah, I thought maybe you would like transport them to different places after you built them and kept the Pioneer in its spot. But I don't know, that could have been the way to do it. It would have been weird to have this thing landing and dropping and landing and taking off and landing over and over again every place it wanted to build a building. So you'd want to make it so the buildings could be moved, but it makes a lot more sense to move the construction materials and then build the building. And it's kind of funny that they didn't just look at it that way in the first place. Any ships they talked about in the lore that you wished they released? In the Anvil Hawk brochure, it mentions variants. I think the Jupiter sounds pretty cool. I'd like to see what that would at least look like. The new one you're going to see in a second here. Arms were supposed to open up. You were never thrilled about their old giant 3D printer idea. I thought it was just this over here that opened up. Did they ever show what this looked like if it opened up? You can see a hab in the photo. Yeah, right here. There's so much unused space in the new concept. Now there's a debate to have. Is that bad? If they made everything more efficient and were able to fit it into the same footprint as the original ship, was it on them to then shrink the original ship down, or should they have tried to stick with what the original ship concept looked like and just allowed some space to go unused? Anyways, think about that. Let's look at the new one.
How you physically build your bases has changed slightly. So back then, you were building everything on board the ship here. You would fly your Pioneer. This is the area I want to build in. I'm going to build my base on board the ship, and I'm going to drop it down. As you've seen, bases are a lot more expansive now. This doesn't work anymore. So we need to do a little bit of some reconcepting.
Okay, so one of the first things we really wanted to kind of solve was the arm. We know a lot more about how we're going to be constructing these structures now, and kind of the arm didn't really make a lot of sense anymore. All it really did was it made the space you need to land the ship almost twice as big as what it's kind of needed. And we're not real spaceship engineers. We don't make real spaceships. But what we do try and do a lot of the time is we try and take as much reference from kind of real life manufacturing as we possibly.
Agreed. This was not a good first picture to show this ship.
Can, and I think that's really it's really key to what I think Star Citizen is as a whole across like all the different departments. In that we're trying to make a believable universe, and if you think about the arm, and whilst I can't deny it's a cool idea, I think really from a manufacturing point of view, all it really does is it adds a lot of complication and a lot of manufacturing costs onto what is already a very advanced, very large, very costly ship to make. So that was kind of like one of the kind of real first things we wanted to do. The second thing we wanted to look at was kind of have a little bit of a...
This view makes more... Like, why did they not open with this? They literally showed the concept, which is here, right? Why didn't they open with the picture that shows the exact same angle of the ship? That was such a weird choice. But anyways, you can see that they were like trying to maintain that general shape and size. Hold on, I can just pull up the old one. I can't search on here. Let's see. Old. Oops. And new. So the shape was definitely something that they were trying to maintain. They kept that pad over here. They just closed up the whole central section. They added the bridge on the back. They took away that printing arm that shot off to the side. And then the underside has changed a lot. It's got the ability to like mine from the ground and all that kind of stuff, but it's a more internal operation. It's not open to the outside anymore. I would say, I would agree that it's not good that it has unused space in the design. But I don't think that's the challenge that they're trying to solve here. I think the real challenge here is one that's plaguing a lot of Star Citizen. It's one we've talked about today earlier. And it is that ships are being designed before the gameplay. So when the gameplay comes around, they have to fit that ship to the gameplay while still maintaining the ship they sold. And they've done this with the Redeemer. They're doing this with the Corsair. They've done it with the Ares. We're seeing it with some of these ships. It happens after they've released and they get balanced, or weapons get added or removed. Some of them it happens before release and they get redesigned. That's what's happening here. And I would say that it's not great that they have wasted space if they didn't have to make this fit the ship they already sold. Because they can't just change the shape. And if the gameplay itself has changed to the point where the gameplay fits in a more efficient space, which is like drones, then you make use of that space and you balance the ship as you need to, and then you keep the ship to look at like what people spent money on. Otherwise, you're going to have bigger problems on your hands. Are we sure that's not something that deploys when building? The arm on the side? No, I think they got rid of it because he was just talking about how the arm was a cool idea, but didn't work for them. If they're going to close it off, give me a landing pad. There is a landing pad right here. This is a door that moves out of the way, and then you can land inside the ship. There is space used for the drones, but I mean, not all of it. The midsection? It's right here, I think. It's like straight in the middle of the ship. There's a landing. I believe it. No, this might be the landing bay, actually. Oh, yeah, I guess this is the landing bay, and then it drops down into the ship. What's up, Weepy? Landing pad is small, I believe. You expect they'll fill up whatever space there is? They can't do that, though. Could you imagine if they just looked at all the space that was in the 890 jump that might not be used and said, let's just allow for cargo boxes there? And then the 890 jump becomes the meta cargo hauler. Like, imagine if this thing had the ability to mine, to build, to have something land in it, to craft, and then it also had enough cargo to never have to go and ask for anybody else to haul things. Like, it has to have something that it's a little limited on. Requisite materials. I don't know. I think there's probably a lot of balance that goes into what you fill empty space in on a spaceship and what that would mean this ship no longer requires help from other ships for. And I think they're likely building this to try and rely on some other ships. Oh, it does say it's a self-sustaining mobile base. I don't know though. That seems a little OP if you just keep filling it with more and more stuff.
We need to add a few extra kind of onboard facilities. So, you know, a med bay, like I say, the crafting area, the ability to refine and or extract and refine materials.
So let's have a quick look over the updated interior of the Pioneer. So at the back of the ship, we have the classic bridge, looks out over the expanse of the ship. And then top and bottom of that in this image, we have the escape pod rooms. And then leading off those is the access to the manned turrets that remain. Then going downstairs, we have the cargo area at the top. Doesn't look like a lot. That's 1,000 SEU of cargo now in that space.
Jesus Christ. See, like, imagine if they took this and then added, what could they do? Two more maybe here comfortably? Probably like 2.5 more. So this ship, potentially, they could have given it like 3,000 SCU of cargo as well.
Next to that is the fabrication control room. This is where you'll be controlling fabricating larger vehicles and ships.
Is the mining machinery? Is there stuff down here? I don't know. There might be stuff in here. This, for all we know, this could be where they store all the freaking fuel.
As well as smaller fabrication machines next door for. You don't want to use this to build a small FPS weapon. It's a bit overkill. So we have that on board as well. In the center of the ship, we have a small fabrication hangar with roof and ramp egress. So if you're building a small ship on board, so things like a Nomad, you can build.
You know, just building a ship. This is such endgame stuff, dude. Like, I know we're talking about this now. I don't think it's coming out this year, but this ship is truly one of the most powerful things in the game. This redesign really made this thing a beast.
On board here, you'll be able to fly out the roof of the fabrication hangar. And then we have the existing small landing pad that transitions from outside the ship to inside the ship. So cargo you can load via new entrance that Ben's going to talk about in a second, but you can still retain the ability to land a ship on top of this ship, move it inside your ship, all those things. Engineering at the rear, this is now capital components all the way around. It was a weird mix of size.
All right, we're going to do a quick walkthrough here. Again, keep in mind, all of this is marketing pitch, but it's good information to know. How much is it?
Okay, yeah, so we're going to have a little look at kind of like the concept and where it's at on the interior. We start out on the interior bridge. It's very spacious, or command deck bridge, whatever you want to call it. It gives kind of really nice views out over the front of the ship. And right up front, you've got all the consoles required that you need to kind of control the ship.
This guy's playing Galaga.
As well as the kind of additional remote turret access consoles. And then at the rear, we have the main kind of navigation components and some small engineering consoles. And kind of flanking either side, we've got these two corridors, and they lead out to the manned turrets that kind of sit above the bridge. And they also have all the escape pods needed for all the bridge crew. Like I say, we want this to kind of be a home away from home, so we have a very large, comfortable habitation.
It's freaking double deck habitation. Get the heck out of here. Who are you? Huh? Origin? You think you're nice? You think you got luxury? What is this? Everybody should be eating off the floor. One room. One room. This is why Drake ships cost the proper amount.
Station area. Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want.
That's what I like to see. Pack my employees away. I don't want to see them. I don't want to know they're there. Pack them in a box.
This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay.
You could just, I can't believe like, it's going to be, man, what kind of gameplay is this thing going to drive.
The internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SEU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back that again just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle.
I'm only old enough to know references to I mean, I've seen Galaga, like arcade stuff, and I think it was actually, I experienced it when it was on Xbox Games with Gold way back in the day when they used to have stuff on the Xbox dashboard. That was one of the games that popped up.
At the front, we have the drone room. Now these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game.
Early game crafting won't be tied to ships. It'll be tied to like items or vehicles that you can transport around. So you can put it in your ship, and then you can fly that ship somewhere, and then you can take it out and craft, or you can craft from within your ship. But I don't know about crafting spaceships specifically. I could see them doing something.
They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area.
Sorry, Sentry. Dude, that's so bad. Oh my God, red light glasses. That's so bad for your eyes. Look at that. It's like looking into the sun.
And finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside. And then as these open up, we just finished making a storm. And as we see, there's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicles straight out the front. Between all the landing gear, and you get this really nice kind of like sense of scale as you're driving underneath out the front of the ship. And we've also got the top exit for any flight vehicles. And then finally, we have the landing pad, and this just allows us for any ships that land up on deck, we can just bring them down into the belly of the ship.
Really, all you need with this ship is a portable refiner. And then this thing can basically do everything possible in the game. It's got turrets for defense, landing pad to take in ships, hangar bay to take in vehicles, cargo bay to store cargo, crafting places to build stuff, drones to build bases. It has literal mining drills in its landing gear. It has habitation that you can live out of, thrusters so you can fly wherever you want. It doesn't have salvage beams, so I guess there's that. That's pretty crazy. There's so much going on with this ship. Imagine how many hours of gameplay you lose if someone blows up your Pioneer. Oh my God, yeah. Jesus. It'll be nerfed. I don't even know how they'd nerf this. We just take away the thrusters. Y'all are stuck on the ground. It's a real base now. You feeling okay? You sound a little funny? Like I got good jokes? Is that what you mean? I know there's minings in it. I don't know about refining. Onboard facilities for, okay, medical crafting, refining, and extraction. Okay, then. So, what the f***? We'll have to see what happens with this ship. This thing seems more full-featured for Star Citizen than the Endeavor at this point. And the Endeavor is modular. We don't want a single ship to do everything. Here's the Pioneer. Yeah, this thing's going to have to be an absolute pain to defend. I guess technically this is a base without the same protections as a base. So if you're in a high protection, a high security star system, and you're building bases with this thing, no, yeah. Would that mean that the base you're building is protected? Is this ship also protected? How does that work? Could people bomb this and your bases next to it are safe? Is it included in the bubble? I bet you the ship's not safe. So even if you were in a high security area, you'd still want to have some security to defend the ship part of it, I think. If they do this right, it'll be proper exciting to hear that a clan just jumped one and and it's filled with goodies. Yeah, this ship's wild. But it's not coming out this year, so it's not that important to us at this point. The next ship that I want to talk about that I think is coming out this year, well, I think could be coming out this year, is the Expanse. Guess that was kind of my my spelling of that. That was perfect timing too. Thank you very much. Wow, that's kind of crazy. If you don't spell Expanse the exact right way, it will not pop up, huh? Luna Maria, thank you for the super chat. 11-month milestone. Looking forward to even more in 2025. So are we. So are we. Oh boy, I'm so excited to tell you all that Squadron 42 is coming out next year. For the next year. You only have 2 ships you own? The Polaris and the Pioneer. Holy crap. On its own, it's missing salvage, towing, data, exploration, science, security. So it's not like completely do-it-all ship. What does it mean to be missing exploration and security? It can fly places and shoot at things, right? Certainly not do everything, though. I assume no data functionality. Do you prefer ships with front glass bridges or enclosed armored cockpits? I prefer... I mean, I prefer both. I like both. I don't have a specific pick. If you own the Pioneer, you can build all the other ships. Or build those components. No radar, no big turrets. Or not big radars. I mean, basically, you could just have something on your ship with a radar. I don't know. That's a complicated conversation, I guess. I consider even the Polaris capable of exploration just because you can like put a terrapin in there and then use it as your home base. But yeah, it's not purpose built for those things for sure. Yeah, it's probably only for planetary mining too. I would assume, I would hope so. That would be very, that'd be crazy if it could mine rocks too. It's also an Odyssey, because why not? Ship radar discussion with the bald lady on the screen. Call me confused. Bald lady, wasn't that? Oh, that was the character creator. I thought you were talking about Paul Jones here. Like, excuse me. What do you mean? All right. So here's the Expanse. Now, I have a couple reasons for why I think the Expanse could be coming. It's a MISC ship. It is important to crafting because they have really started to redefine what refining is based around the crafting profession. And it's not super big. This is like more of a guess, okay? This isn't confirmed. I don't have any damning proof of why this might be happening, but I hope it happens because I think this would really help to complete the loop of resource extraction and selling. And we really need that. Oh my God. I'm so tired of trying to mine and then the only thing you can think of is, okay, well, let's take it to the station and click a button and then wait 15 hours to sell it. At least let me pass it on to somebody in my org so they can have some fun with it, you know? Hey, Johnny, thank you so much for the super chat on YouTube. Said the Polaris's biggest fail is the glass cockpit at the very tip. Crap design. Devs could have hired actual military ship designers from any country with a navy to act as advisors. To be quite honest, I don't think they care that much. Like, I think they're building them to be cool and fun. There already is a ship in the game that has a proper battle bridge that's in the center of the ship, so they know how to do it. I don't think it's too much of a concern to them. Appreciate you with the $10 though. Thank you for the super chat. I also think that the Carrack kind of proves that as well. Like, they've given the Carrack this armoring over the windows that you can flip out. But what are they? Does that mean all the other cockpits can suddenly start to crack and break, or something like that? I think there's a lot of rule of cool ignoring logic in this game. You think refining has to come soon? It'll be key to crafting. Yeah. In SC lore, the glass is as strong as metal. I'm sure I remember someone saying that. I've heard someone say that before. I don't know if it's true. Yeah, the armoring is a little goofy. But, like, I get it. It was, a lot of people cared a lot about that. It could be for protection for radiation, for sure. We'll have to see, though. If that's the case, that would actually, I mean, that would mean all these other glass cockpits are suddenly dangerous to be in Pyro compared to the Carrack, which would be really cool. I missed a couple subs on Twitch. I'm so sorry, guys. Sailcat gifted a sub out to Rasak Blood. Thank you so much, Sail. Seen you in chat here. 2D Tap, thank you as well for the 6 months subbed up on Twitch. Much love, mate. GTR Prime with the Prime sub. That's fitting. Appreciate y'all. Hope you've been enjoying the stream. Panic switched as well. Dude, 22 years. I hope you've been well, Panic Switch, and work is not beating you up as much as it was late last year. Thank you, Maverick, for the bits as well. Thanks for the support in general, folks. Appreciate you. Don't forget that we have a giveaway going on right now for the MISC Mirai Guardian Heavy Fighter. All right. The Expanse. Oh, and Tyrus just came in and dropped 5 memberships. And dude, thank you. Let me get some Tyrus in the chat. I probably need to add that as a sound bite here so that I can spawn it myself. Can I just, maybe I can, hold on. Can I just maybe make one myself and we can, is it possible that we can, hold on, we can, Tyrus. I kind of laughed. That probably ruined it.
Let's see. Oh, what just happened?
Sorry. I think I messed something up there. Tyrus. All right, did that work? It didn't work. One more time. Tyrus. There we go. Tyrus. Oh yeah, you might have heard my real voice there. Tyrus. Oh, if you guys are here for Star Citizen stuff, you must hate me. Let's look at the Expanse.
The MISC Expanse fills a great hole in the gameplay loop of the entire mining refining cycle, because currently you go out to the...
Wait, are you guys not hearing the sound alerts? That ain't great. I'll see if I can fix that.
The far reaches of space, you mine some rocks, you fill up your capacity, then you yourself have to trek all the way back to a grain station or somewhere like that to refine, and then you have to trek all the way back to go continue mining, whereas the Expanse can be the middleman where you take on board mined goods.
Okay, somebody mind doing a voice alert? Make sure, I think I just fixed it.
Processes it, and then you can either sell it yourself or you can transfer it back to a cargo ship and they complete the whole gameplay loop. The Expanse is the starter ship in the sort of refinery tier. We have refineries on other ships such as the Starfarer, but they're more specialized into purely doing fuel, where the Expanse has a bonus over them. Is it has what we call reactors on them, and at a very simplistic level, one reactor is one refinery process, and the Expanse has 6 of them on board, so it allows you to potentially do 6 entirely different refinery processes simultaneously, or for maximum output you can do 6 of all the same type and really sort of improve your bandwidth, so to speak, of refinery. We picked MISC because it sort of fits that industrial aesthetic.
You've got the rounded front nose of the ship, but then what you'll notice is you've got the not massive, but you've got the big shoulders, and that's also on the Starfarer, and so we wanted to keep that. So it's sort of basically big airflow, big intakes, straight into an engine, and then back out.
I'm actually amazed at how small this ship is. I always think of it as being pretty big, but if you go and look it up, it's not that much bigger than the smaller industrial ships that we already know. Expanse. Yeah, it's 35 meters long. Just to put that into perspective, the RSI Zeus is about that length, I believe. Let me look it up real quick. Might be longer, actually. Oops, wrong one. So yeah, the Zeus is 10 meters longer than this ship. So like, it feels like it's supposed to be fairly big, but it's actually smaller than, like, it's shorter than the C1 Spirit. But look at it. Doesn't it look big? Like, what's going on here? Is it just the concept art? Is it like, am I just stupid? I can't tell what distances are. It seems like it's bigger than 35 meters, but that's where they have it. Let me just reconfirm that. Yeah, it's 10 meters shorter than the freaking C1 Spirit. How big is the Prospector? It's got to be like 25 meters or so, right? 28 meters maybe? Yeah, 26.5 meters from the Prospector. So it's only 10 meters longer. The wiki isn't always accurate. Oh, we could check just in case. I have no doubt that the ship itself is going to expand from whatever they sold it as, because that's what happens to ships. But it's pretty wild that it's meant to be that size. Yeah, they've got us 35 meters here. It is fairly tall, 21 meters. I feel like the Zeus also feels bigger than it is, so it might feel the same. Maybe. Yeah, I think it'll be bigger than 35 meters when it actually is in the game. But anyways, let's continue.
When people look at the back, there are certain visual elements there that you'll see that are common throughout the ship manufacturers. You know, it's sort of the ball engine almost, very sort of defined fins that surround that spherical engine. And also the other sort of main feature is the 8 pods. There are 4 on either side. It really gives this ship a unique look and silhouette.
So there's your cross section, cockpit, probably a little bit of habitation space and maybe some personal storage. And then this is likely your refinery access. And then the rest of the ship is just machinery. But like, even this looks longer than 35 meters. I mean, like this right here has got to be, I guess no. This is probably like 10 meters. This could be around 30. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't know, man.
There's no,
clearly I've got a really big problem with this.
No mistake in this ship. People might be familiar already with sort of MISC interiors are generally sort of a letterbox kind of viewpoint. You know, it's very widescreen. You've got that basically when you're sat in the pilot seat. You've got all your instrumentation laid out in front of you. It's all quite sleek, holographic. It's still sort of quite compact because it is a one-man ship. Leading from the cockpit, it will take you into just a small living section. So bed, locker, that kind of stuff. And then progressing to the rear of the ship is just a really small sort of like operations room, basically, where you can interface with the refinery section.
Yeah,
And there's
okay.
a little
So
win-
this little room right here we're seeing is this right here. So it is literally, it's just the cockpit. Looks like a little entrance here. Dude, this is tiny. If this is accurate, it looks like it's just a tiny entrance, elevator up, cockpit, general room, and then refinery. This is like pure industry ship. No rest for the refiners.
window there, and you can sort of see through into the gubbins, and you'll have a little bit of a display that you'll be able to do some of your interaction with. It's split level, so to get out of the ship, basically you'll enter into a really sort of compact and bijou lift, or an elevator, as some people say. That'll take you down to the lower floor. Jared, you might want to call it the ground floor, and then outside down a ramp, basically. So yeah, quite small.
He even
I
says
think the
quite
ship
small.
is going to be kind of cool. I mean, obviously it's a niche role, and it's not going to appeal to every player. But I think as a ship and as an owner, I think people are really going to like it. I think they're probably going to sort of really start to gel with it. It's got a lot of personality, I would say, and I hope that people, A, will enjoy what it does, but B, will also sort of enjoy the visuals of the ship and just flying around in it and just having that sort of one-man support experience.
The MISC Expanse is...
Yeah, so this is a cool ship, and this is actually a really good one for them to get off the backlog. But I'm not confirming that they're going to get this out this year. They were working on refinery ship stuff for a little while, like 2 or 3 years ago. They were working on it, and it just dropped off. I think it was around the time that they probably started to more seriously tie refining into the crafting process. They were probably getting the design down for crafting a lot and realized they need to have refining in there as the upgrading and sort of meat of the crafting process. So I imagine they put refining ships down for a little while, but now that we're getting back to crafting and base building, I think it's something that they'd have to have in for that to work. This is likely, I don't think they said that this is the industry starter for the Expanse, but it seems like there's not going to be a ship smaller than this that can do refining. So this could be the ship that they try to introduce it with as the refining starter ship. But we'll have to see how it works, because I mean, the design's changed a lot since this was concepted. This is based all around these mining sack ideas. But as we've seen, a lot of crafting and base building has to do with SCU-sized boxes. So will this be the ship that does the transferring that we're looking for? That takes minerals from these bags and then outputs them into boxes? Or will they change mining overall and do away with these bags and transition everything over to just using boxes? Think you need an industry ship, not sure what you want yet. Everything you own is combat. Think of getting a Vulture. Vulture's a good feel. We don't need any more ships. We need stability. Ships are useless if you can't complete missions or even stay on the server for an hour or more. I disagree. Ships will help the people get paid to do their work. Ships are delivering the promises that they've given to people as recently as 2022 that they need to, like, people should be able to play with. If the gameplay is there, ships are also needed to test the gameplay so that it actually works in the game. And I don't think ships are useless if we can't complete missions, because you can play the game outside of missions as well. Been watching so many VODs. Took you some time to realize this is live. Hey, how you doing, man? Sacks are just boxes with extra steps. Yeah, they're just soft boxes, you know. The Galaxy will probably be able to refine more than this could. Latest promise from Chris is stability. Guy can't keep his mind straight. I did. If you genuinely are looking at them saying that they want to work on stability after they've now gotten to server meshing static, then I don't think you've been following what they've been saying. Gumbo! 07's buddy, how you doing? Can Argo sacks be used on prospectors yet? I don't know. I want to meet with Red Monster here soon and get a better idea of how the mining is working. I think people just literally don't understand employee rights. The devs are employees, not gig workers. CIG can't just send the ship devs home because they only want to pay the networking devs. Go home, ship devs. We don't need you this week. Prospector holds 32 SCU in its 4 bags. So this would hold 64. She could work 2 prospectors at a time. Might be a little low. Toes. Waiting for some news from the SC devs. Excited to get 25 rolling. January is so boring. Taryn, thank you for the sub, mate. What other ships do we have possibly this year? Let me think about that. Let's think. I don't think we would see the Raylan. I think that the Raylan is... I would want it, but I don't think it's important enough. Let's look at the Starlancer build. If they were going to get a base building ship or a crafting ship into the game this year, it would be that.
Very costly ship to make.
Galaxy's got 2 refineries. Yeah, maybe the TAC would come too. This and the Fortune with the auto box grid release the blockers for what you want, which is the Arastra. Arastra's a cool ship. I don't know when that might come. I don't really think that's a this year kind of thing. Like, I think we would get the Galaxy before the Arastra. Maybe they're not, though. Aren't they working on RSI ships because they've been releasing a ton of other RSI ships and carry over the design language? They're trying to stick with... They're trying to continue building RSI ships, yes, after the Polaris. Anno, thank you for hanging out, dude. I'll see you around. You're sitting on the fence about stability because on one hand, it's important to actually play, but you also want more features and content. Game feels kind of empty. My understanding, and it seems to still be the way that they're operating, is that they wanted to get the engine and the base tech working to some level so that they could then start to focus on stability. And that's, I think, what they're trying to do. I think it's going to be a challenge for them. I don't know if they can do it, but I think it's what they're trying to do. You'd like to see an Aurora or Connie rework? I could see a Connie rework, yeah. Connie's an old goat. You're more hyped for the different armor classes and FPS gear that might come this year. I hope that comes this year. It's a little disappointed with how little of like the more in-game side of that they showed. Let's check out the Starlancer build here.
You'll see it has the drone bays on each side, and then it has the drone resupply arms for allowing the drones to come back and resupply. Inside that room, you have the drone control center. So you have a single station inside, and this is where you control all your drones from, much like Luke showed you in the previous presentation. So there are two large.
I say it all the time when I see this picture. If you showed me this, I wouldn't guess Nyx if I saw this. It looks so like grungy in there, and I wonder how close to this they're going to be able to get.
Drones held on each side of the room, so 4 large drones in total. And then there are 2 filler stations right at the front here, and these each hold 16 SEU of capacity, which can then go and load the internal resource tank to feed the drones.
So you're going to be regularly needing to load this thing with more materials for the drones.
Drones that will then be deployed out of their little secret garages, and they go off and do what you've asked them to do.
We actually have seen some little bit of a look at how this looks when the drones deploy.
Maybe careless flying.
And send them off, do their thing.
This is a ship I really wish we were getting now, but I don't know.
Entry is from the rear of the ship, so you've got a big tailgate that sort of opens up, and that gives you access to the cargo area. And I think it's 12 SCUs that it can hold, and then there's a small elevator that takes you up. It's almost like a mezzanine, and then it takes you to the living quarters. Some basic habitation at the rear of the craft. So a couple of beds, the obligatory toilet and shower, food station, a little table. It's very much.
So here's the original design for the drones, and this is what they would look like launching from a ship.
It's in the it's that same sort of style as it's basically the industrial Aegis, essentially, and so that feeds through the whole of the ship. So
sorry, I was wrong. Where is that part of the video? Here it is.
The mechanic for doing the repairing, refueling, rearming is via its drones. So it has 4 drones that are sort of contained within the body of the ship, and then it can launch them out. These drones can do all 3 actions, but they can only do 1 at a time before they have to go back to the mothership to change function to take on new supplies. So whilst you've got 4 and they can do everything, they can't do it all together, so you can't have 4 out.
So
fixing everything at a time.
There's kind of your drone door. This is going to be a very big topic, I think, throughout the next year. We're going to hear a lot more about how drones work. We knew they were working in Squadron 42 a couple of years ago. They've been working on them for the PU, but obviously things like server meshing, the general instability, the lag, the inability for AI to perform basic functions in Star Citizen has made it so that there's just no point in adding drones. Now I think this is another one of those systems that, because the back end is in a better place, they are starting to more seriously consider bringing them into the game. I wish the Vulcan was the way they introduced them to Star Citizen, but they're probably going to be introduced via the CSV, which we can look at right here after we finish with the build. And then we will probably see it in this a couple patches later. So even if we do get base building this year and crafting, this ship is probably not going to be out until this time next year at the earliest. I'm trying to set expectations realistically. It's still January. We don't know how hard they're going to come out hitting this year, but based on previous years, Squadron 42 has always been the priority. We have no reason to think that will actually change this year, even though they said it would last year. It still might not this year. We can't know until we see it. But if it does change and they can get a lot more devs on Star Citizen, maybe we will see this year. I would just say banking on that is more positive. I think leaning on the more positive side of expectations for the year. But they can at least talk a little bit about it.
The drone bays on each side, and then it has the drone resupply arms for allowing the drones to come back and resupply. Inside that room, you have the drone control center. So you have a single station inside, and this is where you control all your drones from, much like Luke showed you in the previous presentation. So there are 2 large drones held on each side of the room, so 4 large drones in total. And then there are 2 filler stations right at the front here, and these each hold 16 SEU of capacity, which can then go and load the internal resource tank to feed the drones. Drones that will then be deployed out of their little secret garages, and they go off and do what you've asked them to do. When they need to resupply, they'll come back, sit on these arms, suck up their resources that they need, carry on their day. That's the really important thing here, is that all these base building vehicles have enough storage on board to supply your drones. Obviously, if you're going to build a million things on your base, you're going to run out. But we want you to be able to have these vehicles and have knowledge that you're not going to be doing endless cargo runs initially to build your foundation of your base. You'll be able to build your base and have storage on that eventually, but these all get you going in the short term. So let's have a quick go over the stats. It holds 4 large construction drones. It's 83 meters long.
Yeah, actually, this has large construction drones. I don't think they're going to do small and medium first, so this might not be out for a while, now that I think of it, which might be why they didn't sell it.
52 meters wide, 15 tall. Saw lots of rumors and chatters that people thought this was freelancer size. It is not. It is significantly larger than the Constellation and Corsair. It's almost 600i in size.
Dude, fixing the game definitely makes them money. You should see how much their funding explodes when the game gets more playable.
So it is a big ship. 2 S4 guns for the pilots, 16 missiles, remote turrets, and then 128 SU of cargo capacity in the build specifically.
Don't see why you could select a ship to be placed in your ship from ASOP terminals. Why you could? Why you couldn't? I'm assuming that we'll be able to do that at some point. Load your ship with a vehicle inside of it. 12 to 18 months for Pioneer. How does that factor into a small, medium? Well, Pioneer is also large. So I'm not sure if that's... I don't know if they would hold it back for that or not. Like, the ship and the gameplay are tied very closely together. How reliant are they for now server hardware for the game to run normally? Is it kind of waiting for the hardware tech and meantime software optimization is current key? What I think they're doing right now is running their hardware at the lowest levels they possibly can while people still play the game. Something that people pointed out was that not only were actually Tyrus pointed this out, not only were the servers that the Daymar rally occurred on capped at a lower number of people, but it also generally just felt like the stability was better. Like maybe there was just more, I don't know the freaking terms. Okay, higher bit rate, whatever. Like maybe there was just more data throughput allowed. The ceiling was lifted for the servers. So I think if that is the case, that they're probably just trying to allow the PU to run as cheaply as possible. And that's not a new thing. I genuinely think that since at least 2017 until now, they have been trying to run the PU as cheaply and as minimal effort as possible because of Squadron. And I don't know if that'll ever change. Well, I know that they'll focus on Star Citizen. I don't know if it'll ever change that they'll like boost the servers to run better and put stickers on them for more horsepower or anything. But I think that the game is running at a dilapidated state right now because it's not their priority. And again, I don't know when that'll ever change. When Squadron comes out, maybe. Someday drones will be the next elevators. Imagine drones just straight slamming into player bodies and killing them because they're flying back to the ship. Like a genuine hazard. As cost efficient as possible. Yeah, that's a better way to put it. You haven't played for months, don't want to waste your time on being a tester for a game in development for years. Dude, that's how most people are. Like, most people should take that approach, Richard, and just step away from Star Citizen. The game is going to be a lot better than testing it. So go play one of the other amazing games that are out right now until this one's ready. Isn't Squadron only part 1 of 3? Or am I misremembering? No, you're right. But part 1 of 3 does take care of a lot of the work of part 2 and 3. And also putting out part 1 legitimizes the studio. They are struggling to attract players right now because people don't take it seriously. Like, at a glance, why would you? It's been a while, and there are still very many basic things in this game that don't function. And like, nobody's going to blame your casual gamer for not spending the time to look into this. I think that it's stupid to talk about it as if you know it if you don't look into it, but I don't blame people for not looking at it seriously. It does a lot to like hurt its reputation. So I think releasing Squadron 42 would really help them. Over the raging. I'm taking the vow to try and be more positive this year, you know? Thank you for the super chat, Alan. With fire coming up, do you think there will ever be a firefighting ship? That makes sense, right? I don't know. I don't know how much they're going to expand fires outside of ships. Be an interesting thing, but I'm not sure there's enough gameplay there for a full profession to create a ship out of it. Do hope we get the build this year, but not holding out hope due to it not being sold yet. Yeah, I feel. Hard to blame anyone for not wanting to join when all you ever see YouTubing SC is a bunch of drama and controversy. I don't know, man. YouTube recommendations. It's the algorithm. I find a lot of really good Star Citizen content on YouTube. Shout out to one of the faves, my man Ferrister. Just put out a great video about his fleet. Are CIG playing it safe at the moment? Has someone come into the company and helped them align the game direction? Ignore this if already answered. Just chilling. I don't think they're playing it safe. I think CIG is making moves to finish a game that they realize they need to finish. But I do also think that there's more focus on direction now than there was a few years back. There's SC content on YouTube. Name one. I saw this really good video from GameRanks a little while ago. All right, let's look at the CSV, because this is likely going to be our introduction to base building, and most likely if we see base building, this will be what we see coming out this year with it.
So launching today is the very first ground vehicle from Argo, the Construction Support Vehicle, CSV. So this specialized chassis is developed to take on all the conditions on all our planets. It's a little rugged beast that really does just go everywhere. And if you're constructing a new settlement, there's two things you need. You need drones to build it, you need supplies to supply the drones to build it. And that's why the CSV comes in two variants. So we have the CSV FM, which stands for Fabrication Module. So this has two medium drones.
It also, not confirmed, okay? Not confirmed, but there is a rumor that this thing comes with an FM radio, which is pretty cool.
On board. And we built it to fit in as many vehicles as we could practically get it to fit in. So it fits in vehicles from a Cutlass Black upwards. It's approximately.
Thank you very much.
And everyone always asks me what ship fits in what, and I lose track of it all the time. It's about the size of a Tumbril Cyclone. So if you can put a Cyclone in a vehicle, you could put one of these in it.
Oh yeah, this is my next entrant to the Daymar Rally. Let's go. Hey, Aliciana, thank you so much for the subs on Twitch. Really appreciate it. Glad you're enjoying the conversation. And also, Supermac, yeah, another fun folk to watch for Star Citizen content. YouTube is much more popular than Twitch among every generation. People who don't like YouTube are unicorns. Hey man, you don't have to like it, but you kind of got to use it. YouTube could definitely make some improvements in places. That being said, YouTube, we appreciate you. Don't shut down our stream, okay? Yay, search. Woohoo.
Obviously, two medium drones on board, and then it has an internal storage tank for resources. So it has a very small version of a freight elevator built into the back of it. So you feed it one SCU crates, it absorbs them into the holding tank on board, and then the drones will come back to the vehicle to refill. And it also has a size 0 serial generator on board for a bit of added protection.
Oh, that's nice. Shield generators are good. Rasak brought up a good point. There is the small little hand pushable base building thing, so you don't have to get this to do base building. But I do think this is the first vehicle that will be base building related.
What happens when you run out of resources? This is where the CSV SM for supply model comes in. So the second CSV-based vehicle in the game is where the CSV protection.
Where's GII? Hey, GII. The fam's out there representing. Next year, we're going to have all of the jerseys look like a boy band.
It absorbs
boy and girl band
them into the holding tank on board, and then the drones will come back to the vehicle to refill. And it also has a size 0 serial generator on board for a bit of added protection. What happens when you run out of resources? This is where the CSV SM for supply model comes in. So the second CSV-based vehicle in the game, and this has a traditional 4 SCU cargo grid on the back. So 4 1 SCU boxes, 2 2 SCU boxes, 1 4 SCU box. Depending on what you buy, you can use this to bring it and move it around. So this is the perfect companion vehicle to the CSV FM. Said that. Shield generator as well.
So this is the one that we already got in game, and I'm seeing in chat, you guys hate the way it drives. I'm not surprised. Ground vehicles don't really agree with the ground in Star Citizen. I think maybe they started out as spaceships and CIG never told them that they're supposed to roll around. So they're trying to fly and turn and flip over and stand on their nose and basically do everything except for get you where you're going. So I'm not surprised this one doesn't handle very well.
28 meters a second. I cannot, my brain is fried. I can't remember what that is in miles per hour or kilometers per hour. And it is available right now to drive in SC Alpha 324.2, available at playerc.csv.
Okay.
So now, let's take a little closer look at the vehicle, and Ben's going to go through it.
Okay, how thorough can this possibly be? It's like one room.
Okay, so what we're seeing here is the in-game version of the CSV. It's complete with its 4 SCU of cargo up on the rear.
Holy crap, I just realized. Mrs. Tomato, you started that giveaway because we passed our goals for the day, huh? I just noticed we passed our goal for the day. Thank you all. That's awesome. You've been holding it down today. Back to CSV.
And I think the CSV kind of really builds on what Argo is known for as a manufacturer. It's got those kind of like really kind of hard industrial looks, and I think it helps it kind of feel at home on any build site. All of its components are easily accessible. And I think the exterior is like real dominating factor. It's those kind of large all-terrain wheels, and then that's kind of backed up by just simple, smooth,
majestic ass music. What's ass music, Lucy?
Controls kind of right in the kind of where the player needs them, and I think that's one of the keys to the ship as a whole, or the vehicle as a whole. Sorry, is it's simple, it's purposeful, it's functional, and I think that just kind of just helps it to kind of feel part of that Argo family.
Okay. Gotcha. All right, cool. Yeah, so it's a buggy. Awesome. That's like our step into base building, and likely one of the other things we'll see this year. Geez, I bet you there's some stuff that I'm not thinking of. But because we've seen so many ships launch in the last couple of months, even going back to last year's monthly reports now would not tell us much about what they have planned. So we'll just have to wait until we see the November, December monthly reports. I think that happens next week. Let's see. When did that happen last year? We'll have to wait for those late end of the year monthly reports to see what ships they're working on right now. So here's the February one. And monthly report January. Okay, so that comes out in February. So when is the November, December? When did this happen? Oh, of course they don't put the date on it. Any way to find out when a web page was initialized? Like in the console commands or something? So I don't know when they put this out. Wayback Machine, I'd have to basically find the specific day. I was hoping not to do it that way. Do I think we'll get the Ironclad Assault this year? Does it require crafting gameplay? It might be this week. Don't know when they dropped this. Ironclad Assault has a repair thing. Okay. I don't know if I don't think that would mean we'd see it. RSS feeds would have the dates. Crappies. Okay. I guess I can do way back and see if we could just find the date when it started showing up. Way. Just take me to Wayback or just way.com. Oh, I could look at the Twitter. What? Has not archived that URL. That's a thing? They just not archive URLs sometimes? Oh, okay. It was because the URL's messed up. Do I use spatial audio for my headphones? No. And I'm using the MV7 from Shure for my microphone. Toes. December from January 10th. Okay. So I guess January 10th was when it was posted. So they're really late on that. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Where is the end of the year monthly report? No, is that not right? I think you're right, man. That's the first time they saw it. And it was definitely there by January 10th. Maybe it was there before that. But definitely, yeah, January 10th was Wednesday. So it was posted the second week of January. So we're pretty far behind for some reason. On the December monthly report. We'll have to keep an eye out for that. Maybe it'll come this week. You'll have to keep an eye out for specifically the This Week in Star Citizen message, I guess. You think Paul might know why? I think we'll see crafting this year. I think it's possible. I do think it's possible, but I'm not sure if they're going to be able to pull it off. Thanks for the sub, by the way, Token. The Prime sub on Twitch. Toes. Abs, thank you as well. Whoa, 12 months. Dude, have you been Prime subbed for 12 months? Oh, it's an honor, friend. That's awesome. For anybody who's wondering why that's special, everybody who has Amazon Prime can use a Prime sub once a month for free as a way to support somebody. And he's used this for me 12 months. That's very kind. Suggested some circumstances has delayed things. Toes. Okay. Interesting. Good to know. Kindwick, thank you for your Prime sub as well. The homie. It's not as reliable as cash. It's a nice little perk, at least. I think it's part of what keeps Twitch alive, to be honest. Any other ships that anybody can think of that might be coming this year or that you have questions about? Feel free to throw a ship name out to me. Maybe it'll jog my memory and remember that we do have more plans. I think the last thing we can do just to make sure is double check what they were saying last year about ships in development.
the day after, and the day after. So remember Death of a Spaceman.
We went
You
over the
still
Apollo.
Read an excellent write-up of it on the website.
The Apollo is still one that we are expecting possibly this year. Did he just say that to look at
So remember Death of a Spaceman. You can still read an excellent write-up of it on the website.
God, if he's still pointing people towards the write-up on the website, that's... Huh. I don't think the Zeus MR will be this year. Maybe if we got the new bounty hunting, but I don't know. Liberator? No, I don't think so. Paladin and Legionnaire? Maybe the Legionnaire? Seems like hacking has really getting pushed. Paladin could be a thing for Invictus Week. We never figured out what the Corsair looking thing was. Just some guesses. Tumbrel Ranger. I think they still got two-wheeled stuff to figure out, but the UTV could be a touch, yeah. Zeus MR, they didn't have a release date for that. They didn't really say when that was coming, just that it was coming after the other two. I think. You think they mentioned the Perseus before the Galaxy? Yeah, it looks like they're doing the Perseus probably before the Galaxy. I don't think we'll see the Galaxy this year. Last year there was a mention of the Raylin, but I think that was just because they were working on the Seulin. They were supposed to move on to the Raylin after the Seulin, but I think they did not. How far away from Aegis makeovers? I don't know. They redid the Retaliator last year, so they might just do those as they go, here and there. Spirit ES, I would imagine, is coming with personnel transport. No word on that yet, though. All right, let's listen to what they have to say about what they were working on at the time.
It's still pretty accurate. I think we're about due for an update. Actually, I'll talk to Rick about that and what the current intention of design for that is. I mean, we do have a big Citizen Con event. Maybe we'll do it then. That's not a promise. That's literally just...
Dude, that's literally, I know it's not a promise, like he's saying that. I want to be clear.
Design for that is. I mean, we do have a big Citizen Con event. Maybe we'll do it then. That's not a promise. That's literally just me thinking off the top of the head that might be a good topic for there.
It would have been a great topic for there, and the fact that they didn't talk about Death of a Spaceman at the Star Citizen 1.0 panel kind of sucks.
But yeah, keep that in mind, and that's coming. That's on its way. If that affects your purchase, if you don't want, just consent. Know that that's on its way before you buy, and enjoy getting back into the fight even quicker and more consequence-free for the time being. But that change is coming, so remember that. All right, let's do that. Whew. All right, we've made people sit through 55 minutes of this. We put up a thread at the beginning of the week, collecting questions from the backers, and every single one. There were a couple outliers, and we worked them into the first half of the show. But almost every question was, "Where's my spaceship? Where's this? Where's that? Where's this other thing?" Stuff like this. So we have a pretty big reveal and stuff. But I want to talk about it. Set this up. Let's just talk about what's in the current pipeline. So that's really what it is. Because to be quite frank, if it's not in the current pipeline, if it's not being actively worked on right now, the answer is it's not being actively worked on.
The thing is, things will just, like, you could talk about one thing and then a month later something else pops up in the pipeline and we have no idea. So it's really all over the place. Stengun, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Been doing the Prime for 8 months. Man, appreciate you, man.
So we're going to talk about what is being actively worked on, and instead of sitting here for the next 15 minutes and saying, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, it's not that, we're going to tell you what is being actively worked on, and you can infer that if your favorite ship name wasn't in that list and wasn't in this discussion that's about to happen, that it's not being actively worked on, and it will when we have time in the schedule and resources to tackle it. So John, Ben, whomever, no, let's make Corey do it. No.
Don't make
On the spot, Corey.
What's actively in development?
Right. So if you go back and look at the CitizenCon presentation we did, we had a sort of teaser video. There was 10 ships in there. We're, 6 months past CitizenCon now? 6 months to the next one. We're halfway through those ships now. So the 5 that have not been released from that video, they're all in production. Yep, they're all in production now. With the exception of the Legionnaire, they should all be within that 12-month window. The Legionnaire, again, is going a bit further just because of gameplay. The gameplay teams can't support us for when we wanted to do it originally, which is fine. But there is also a lot more than that. When we did that video, people didn't know about the Sulan as well. So Santok Yai, X1s, Spirits.
That's why we'll end up probably seeing stuff that wasn't on the video this year as well.
Hornet Mark IIs.
Nursa.
Nursa was in there. Firebird wasn't in there. So that wasn't like, here's 10 ships. These are the only 10 ships that we're delivering. We're doing more than that on the sly as well.
Okay. So of ships that people know about, obviously some of those ships we haven't revealed yet. We're not going to sit here and reveal a ship.
We actually went over on the podcast again. Anybody who's in chat and you want to hear this, maybe a little bit more of a lively discussion about this with speculation. I met with Starjump Grim. He runs the, honestly, I think one of the highest quality fleet viewers there are on the internet for Star Citizen. And we had a long talk about the ships that we think is coming. And one of the things we talked about was the backlog and how they're doing with the backlog and working through it. And we couldn't come up with too many ships that are on the backlog right now that should have been released already that haven't. I think the G12 is the most obvious for me. And there are a couple others I think would have been good picks. Like the whole series obviously makes sense. The Idris and Javelin makes sense, but like some of the other ships that I was hoping for, like the Vulcan or the RSI Apollo, I assume they're going to improve the gameplay when they bring those out, and that's why like when the Apollo comes out, I hope there's improvement to medical, or else it's like, why did you guys wait?
Revealed on the show, but of the ships that people know about, right now they have a name and they're aware it existed. Maybe they've pledged for it.
There's 2 from that video, and they're pretty much the 2 that people know about now. The first one is the Zeus. So the Zeus ES is coming at 4.0. We did the LOD 0 gate review for that yesterday.
So that was the one that Montreal kind of been working away since they've kind of moved on from the cutters. And
they don't reveal what they're working on. They're kind of just like, we have 4 ships working on. You'll find out.
Smashed
the
it.
whole B would be an awesome addition.
So good. So
that actually might be pretty fitting to the current game.
Those ones that look so terrifyingly good, you then have to go look at all the other things that and go, oh, we need to...
We showed it to Chris last week, I think it was, and he was like, it's setting new standards. And we're like, that's really, really good. It's a bit scary, but really, really good. So yeah, very, very happy with it.
So Zeus is in development?
The Zeus ES is in development. That will come first at 4.0. The CL is coming after that.
So it wasn't even the MR they were talking about. The Zeus, this is also something that happens, that happened with 4.0. Some of the features and ships that were supposed to be in 4.0 got removed and released earlier. So the Zeus CL was supposed to come out with 4.0. The ES was supposed to come out with 4.0. The CL we weren't even supposed to have yet, I don't think. I think they were going to have that for 4.1.
And then the MR will come.
Or I think, no, they wanted to do the ES for CitizenCon and then the CL for 4.0 and then the MR later.
The CL is coming after that. That will come first at 4.0.
Okay, so the ES 4.0.
The CL is coming after that.
The Zeus CL would be coming after that, but I guess probably 4.1 they were expecting.
And then the MR will come a bit later.
Okay.
And then the MR, I don't know. They don't even specify. So the MR is still unspecified coming soon, but I don't think it's going to be here anytime soon because we need bounty hunting V2 first.
I know we're working on a couple variants of existing ships.
Yeah.
I think Brand approved us to reveal that there's another...
There's another Sabre, probably the one that...
We already know that one.
people thought the Firebird was going to be.
It was not, but it's the Peregrine.
It's that.
It was not.
That should be soon, TM. Not giving dates. And then, yeah, there's some of the other recent releases will be getting some variants.
Okay. There's a lot of resource network stuff going on that's taking up a whole lot of your time.
Yeah.
I think that's what really slowed them down last year was resource network stuff. I'm fully expecting, dude, if we're going to see resource network coming in 4.1 in April, I'm expecting almost every ship to be rolled over. At least the popular ones. They were talking, I think, originally about like 15 or so. There should be, like, we should almost universally be experiencing both engineering and internal storage in our ships this year, in my opinion. That's the standard that I think they should be setting and aiming for. People shouldn't be joining Star Citizen in 2026 and getting a wildly different experience based on whether their ship has been updated or not. That kind of, they gotta tighten that up. And I see them doing it a little bit. 4.0.1, a couple of ships got their internal storage added, so they're gradually getting there. But I'd love to see that be a focus this year. Didn't know Expat Brat and Space Tomato supported each other. Oh yeah, we know Expat Brat here. A lot of the streamers and YouTubers and people who make the websites for Star Citizen, run orgs, a lot of folks around the community know each other because of community events, citizen cons, hanging out. It's a very tight-knit community. You'll see all kinds of crazy Star Citizen scammers coming into our chat to talk about this game. Gross. Good speed. How you doing? Stop making variants and just give better ideas for new ships with proper functions. Racing variants are such cash grabs. I will definitely say the Peregrine was a really weird. We didn't need that. That didn't need to happen.
There's going through and retouching every single spaceship that's currently in game. Not all at once. You've got your top 10.
So
you're working on?
it's going in two different parts. Like I was saying before, we can't partially do it. It's a whole new system for how resources get transported around the ship. So we can't have some doing it and some not. It's straight up a redo of the system. It would make no sense for some ships to use it and some not. They just wouldn't interact correctly with each other.
Okay, so I could have sworn that they did say last year that only some of the ships were getting that update. Can anybody confirm that with me, or am I crazy? Because I would love for this to be true. If every ship just was coming in and had engineering in 4.1 and that's what we did, great. Fantastic. At what point do you think they update older ships, especially the starter ships? I think we should start seeing an increase in ship updates this year. Not necessarily gold standard reworks, but more of the kind of adding internal inventory, bumping up the engineering specs, balancing the weapons and components better, that kind of stuff.
So we've taken the most popular multi-crew ships, and they have got a full resource network pass where we've physicalized all the components inside the ship, so they're all physically there. They can be opened up, you can see them, you can repair them, whatever. That's with the top 10, not top 10, it's the most popular. It was the top 10, but some of them are variants of each other, so we've just taken the most popular ones. And everything else still needs
No, he's literally saying it.
There,
Sorry.
full resource network pass where we've physicalized all the components inside the ship, so they're all physically there. They can be opened up, you can see them, you can repair them, whatever. That's with the top 10, not top 10. It's the most popular. It was the top 10, but some of them are variants of each other. So
top 10. So they were doing a full rework for the top 10. But again, the system is coming now a good 8 months later than I think they were expecting.
We've just taken the most popular ones. And everything else still needs a base level pass for resource network to actually allow them to function. So it's changes to their loadouts, adding the relays, and then making sure that they actually function, because we've got to remove the pipe system. We're also using it as an opportunity, what we mentioned at CitizenCon, where we talked about why the Zeus had way more shield generators than everything else. We're actually using 4.0 as the opportunity to do those changes. So there's a huge amount of changes to other ships as well with their component numbers and
The
sizes
F-7A
and
didn't have
things.
physical components?
The ones mentioned before, that will all be physicalized. The others, they won't be physicalized, so they'll be invisible inside the ship, but you'll still be able to change their loadouts and things. But that's not all for 4.0. We're also having to support other features that are coming online. I won't go into too much details because it's other feature teams, but it's huge sweeps across all of the ships, and we need to get all that stuff delivered, because as we've had the stuff that everyone saw at CitizenCon come down into the PU, it doesn't just magically work. We need to actually go in and change the ships to actually get them to work with that. So we did the markup pack.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if engineering is going to really be like, if it's only on a few ships, it's not as great. They need to take a break on the ships and give us 2 to 3 weeks of gameplay fixes. It hurts buying ships that aren't even gold standard, that can't really be utilized to their full potential cause bugs. I agree with you on the second part there. Taking a break on ships to give us 2 to 3 weeks of gameplay fixes. How often do you think they're doing ships? They just finished 3 weeks of bug fixes without any ships. Actually more than 3 weeks. Generally, they release the patch on the 20th, I think. They've been essentially bug fixing a patch since December 23rd that it looks like they want to release this week or next week. So, I mean, it's not like they're not bug fixing. You don't know how the 600i is going to fit into engineering. So far behind anything physicalized. Oh, it engineers itself, of course. Origin fancy. They are different teams too. I mean, technically the people who build the ships could fix the bugs with their ships, which I believe they have been doing over the last few weeks. Anything else in here? Pioneer, we went through. Starlancer, we went through that whole list. Yeah, I think we did just about everything. Here's the explanation of how base building works with the vehicles. I have to go back over this at some point. I think we've done a base building review deep dive, though. It may not be. I think it's enough deep diving on base building for now. Any other questions, folks, on ships or the game before we wrap things up? No point doing any ship stuff or reworks till now, till we know. What is gameplay? What can the ship do? What is engineering? Does it work? Is it fun? Oh, I see. Well, yeah, because they need to be able to change the ship if they need to for the gameplay. Evenlease did an update video on it, praised that it's finally in there, but took points off for it being in broken. What's in there? What's broken? Oh, internal storage in the Nomad? Okay. Next packs drop 4.0.1 or 3.25.1 or 2.31.1 is probably coming this week or next. I would prefer next, to be honest. Let it cook, let it stabilize, get it good. Next big patch, probably April. MSR MK2? Nah, they're not going to be doing Mark IIs of a bunch of ships. They'll just refactor the MS, or they'll just update it to the normal ship metrics. What do the computers and ships do? I believe they define your radar and ping capabilities. No, radar is its own component. Don't remember exactly. Didn't know that was just to have a few in the squad, still shard locked, or the occasional 20-minute task that ends up being 2 hours. Any hints on the Drake ship sneak peek? Hey man, I don't fault you for being annoyed with the fact that the game is broken and can make things take forever. That's for sure. But yeah, the company itself has more than 1,000 employees. The majority of those people, outside of, you know, people who are doing like your HR, your administrative stuff, your hiring, your facility maintenance, all that kind of stuff. The rest of them, the majority are probably still working on Squadron 42. Plenty of people working on Star Citizen, but of even that, only like 50 to 55 are working on ships. So there's a lot more stuff going on. I don't know about the Drake sneak peek though. That looked like a MISC sneak peek I've been seeing. Don't know when base building's gonna start to drop. Nah. Do you prefer potato chips with flavors? Oh God, I love potato chips. Dude, I love potatoes. I'm a sucker for potatoes. Ask Mrs. Potato. Mrs. Tomato. Case in point. Specifically, we're very happy to... Somebody once said that I should be named Space Potato, I think is an insult. And I was like, dog, that sounds amazing. I love potatoes, man. The only reason I don't want to be Space Potato is because I'm not trying to commit cannibalism every day. Like the videos and voice style, keep up with the good work. Christian! Hello! Mr. Ullman, thank you for dropping by. Glad you like the content. When will they update the Reliant series? Dude, the Reliant series definitely needs help. More even than the Aurora. They're called crisps. Chips are what you eat for dinner. Yeah. Okay, sure, yeah. What are biscuits, Rain? What's a biscuit? You gonna go to Popeyes and order a biscuit and see what they give you? It's become the thing you hate. That's what empowers you. You enjoy the tomato. Eat them even. See, I was born in the tomato, melded by it. I became one with the tomato. No, I don't eat tomatoes. I mean, I'll eat them occasionally. Fun fact, I'm allergic to most fresh fruits, tomatoes included. So, no, I generally don't eat them too much. They really need to update anti-cheat. Dude, anti-cheat in this game is kind of frustrating. Are we going to have robots to man our ships since we're not going to have NPC crew? No, we will have AI blades. So you just install them into your computer. Right, that's what the computer is for. The computer intakes AI blades as their subcomponents, which can then control things like turrets. At least got the reference from Bane. Thank you. Rejects who he truly is. The tomato is constantly in danger of itself in its natural habitat. All right, y'all. As always, I appreciate you being here. You're really good folks. A lot of fun hanging out on this stream. We get to talk about the dumbest stuff. And also, I enjoy that we get to have like these very serious, long conversations about a freaking video game. Low-key a dream of mine as a kid. So thanks for hanging out, talking about this. There's a lot of passion in the community, and I hope they can capitalize on that and give us something good that we can then, like, you know, maybe talk to our friends and tell them, oh, look at this fun game. Want to come try and play it? Instead of be like, no, don't pay attention. I'm not playing anything. Go back to whatever you're playing. It's going to be really nice if they can truly focus on playability and get this game to a point where people can proudly introduce their friends. Not to say there's nothing impressive about the game, just that, like, we've been playing in an environment that is not friendly to somebody who doesn't know how to play it for a while, and it would be cool to be able to play with friends. Anyways, that is ships that might be coming this year. Not confirmed. Also, not the all-inclusive list. There's probably going to be other things that we don't know about yet, but I hope this gave you a little bit of a preview of what's to come. I'm probably going to make a video about this sometime in the next couple of weeks to summarize it, put it on the main channel, put something that's out there for 10 minutes that you can easily get the whole list of, but Whether you came and watched this live or you're watching this later on YouTube on Space Tomato 2, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate you all. Hope you got some good entertainment out of this, some good information out of this, and some toes out of this. Enjoy the rest of your day. Go eat something that you enjoy and love. Give somebody a hug. Spend some time with folks that you appreciate. And treat yourselves well, because you're good people. And as with all tomatoes, you should have a good day. Cheers, everybody. Have a good one. I'll see you on Wednesday for some gameplay, and then beyond. Bye-bye. I'm sorry. I'm just going to purposefully make you guys stay here and listen to this terrible sound as we close before we raid. So I don't have to listen to it alone. Zaya, thank you for the 50 subs. You're amazing, dude. I'll see y'all later. Have a good one. Much love to you. God, that's terrible. Oh my God. It's so awful. It's so awful. Okay, please stop. Please stop. All right. See you guys later. Bye. Have a good day.